Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. And for those of you on the East Coast, hopefully your damage was minimal and you're getting recovered to that. Anders says, "Good evening. Good evening, Anders. It is good to see you. And I do apologize for the tardiness. For those of you that follow me on X, you might have seen that I stayed up to the wee hours of the morning writing a post. Not really on topic, but a post, article. And then I went to bed. That's fine, right? Woke up, computer had crashed, so now instead of being kind of primed and ready to go, had to start everything back up, and then the camera didn't want to work, and then Instagram was blocking us from starting the feed, and it's just we got over it, but here we are, 20 minutes late. Oh, so let's get started. We've got one from Dan, and then we've got one holdover from last week that when Drive Tesla Canada wasn't loading for whatever reason. Let me make sure that we can hear. Let's see. Yep, that works. All right, so YouTube is we can hear, and can we hear on X? We can hear on X as well. Perfect. Let's get started. Uh, uh, where'd my view go? I want to change. And I got the right title, which is always a plus. Something that often gets overlooked by me. All right, there we go. We're in presentation view now. And first up, we've got the holdover from last week with Drive Tesla Canada. They mentioned that Rivian has launched a pre-owned vehicle program in the US, and as I commented last week, is rather pricey. But, some people doesn't matter how pricey it is, they only buy used. Here's that option. Officially from the manufacturer. You don't have to worry about any third parties. Let's see what Credit Rivian Matt Wilson tells us. Pre-owned R1T and R1S at a more accessible price point. So it's still cheaper than new, but the commentary was that it was higher than expected. Typically, they start around 70 to 76. I can get over 100. However, going for slightly used Rivian, you can get certified models down to 62 and 73. So I guess, that's not terrible. I guess what they're saying is that they're expecting it to cost less as a used car. These are certified. I'm not sure what Rivian puts in their certified programs, but most manufacturers and dealers have certain requirements for, excuse the manufacturer, for what can qualify as a certified car, and they have a premium because most brands don't have just a superficial. Here you go. It's usually a multi-point inspection. You gotta. Back when Tesla was doing certified used, you couldn't tell them from the new cars. I went into Tesla Matthews several years ago. I would say 7 or 8, and there was a Model S just sitting on the showroom, and I did not know that it it was as old as it was because I'd hit the open charge port button on the screen, and then there was no option to close it from the screen. It's confusing. It's a new car. Why is it missing a feature? And the lady explained to me. She said, "That's used." I got out, looked at it. There's no way this is used. The paint was perfect. The seats were perfect. There was only fingerprints on it were from that day. And then I saw the little point where the emergency brake or park brake meets the disc. There was like 3 little dots of rust. It was a used car, and it made sense then. They don't do it like that anymore. I'm sure they saw the program available to activate should they care about used cars anytime in the future. They not focused on that right now. At the time, they had an inventory crush. They couldn't get enough Model S's. That was all. That was the only car they had. They couldn't get enough Model S's, and that was one way to do it and make sure they met the standard. So then, oh, sorry. Then you've got folks like who else did a good one? Lexus and Honda did a good one. Or Acura, both. It depends on the manufacturer. Like, do they require a 74-point inspection, a 60-point inspection? What has to be fixed, and to what level of fixed? And so, if Rivian is doing this on the high end, then the price being pretty close to new is still fine. Although at these prices, you're not going to get the used car tax credit. But if you can afford these, you already don't qualify for that credit anyway. So wash. Uh, you if they lease their used cars, uh, that would get you the loophole to get back on a used car, possibly. But that was all. I think we touched on it from somebody else or from their tweet last week. So let's move on to the one that Dan brought us, and it was about Starlink. So Starlink has introduced a $30 residential plan after Safaricom's speed increase. I'm not holding my breath. I suspect that this $30 might not be anywhere near where I can use it. Uh, simply because of their competitor here, Safaricom. Let's see. Cheaper kit, $30.87. Monthly residential plan in Kenya. There we go. So Starlink is very much like Tesla, and um, who else can you buy from directly? Eh, that's it for now. Because the boring company doesn't move their installations for obvious reasons. So it's very much like Tesla, where everything is priced locally, so they're not uh, just out of the market. So this is pretty cool right here. I'm assuming that the $30 would be a similar chunk of the income as the 120 to $99 is here. So let's see, probably a little lower again because they're in competition here. Safaricom increased their fiber speeds to compete with Starlink. Really interesting. So Starlink Mini will cost $208.38 for the hardware, so it's only a slight discount there. I think we're what, 299 here, 250. The maximum speed of up to 100 MIPS, and it could. They say 100 MIPS, but I've only been seeing people get over that when they show their speeds, which could attract price sensitive customers. And in July last year, they launched Kenya with a $347.25 kit. Well, there you go. Okay, so moving on to what we've got for today. Pull up my notebook here. And got electric. Start there, I guess. Someone is wondering. I don't mind it announcing it in here, but outside it says, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And I told it not to do that, and it still does it. Uh, Iveco announces a new electric cargo van. Will it come to the U.S. as a Nikola? Why would it come to the U.S. as a Nikola? Let's find out. Aside from the fact that it's kind of their strategy. They don't make as much as they just kind of kid out. Looks like some nice aerodynamic. It's got a Kia Niro looking front charge port. What? That front charge port is kind of a good idea because you can nose in, and it doesn't matter as much what side of the vehicle it's on. All right, so Italian truck brand Iveco announced has entered the 2.5 to 3.5 ton medium duty commercial van segment at IAA, which is where we saw last week all the information about the Tesla Semi. So, the e-movie electric chassis cab. The e-movie. Gonna need a different name in the States. What's this? This is my e-movie. It'll still work. It was co-developed with Hyundai. Okay, so that explains why it looks so familiar. And is riding on a modified. Also explains the front end. Why I said it looked like uh, the the Nero and some of the Konas. So anyway, partnership with Korea. Hyundai's Korea brand's Staria ST1 van, and the Iveco e-movie is entering a red-hot commercial EV space with 215 horsepower electric motor, 63 kilowatts or 73 kilowatt. Sorry, 63 or 76 kilowatt hour battery. So that's a Model 3-ish sized. So I would say this would compete with the Maxwell vans. Battery good for range of up to 199 miles of range. Hmm. You don't need that much power for something like this because you don't really want to toss around the goods. But 215 is not bad. And that, like I said, that battery size is all right for something this size. Pretty cool though. They're using Hyundai's 800-volt architecture and supports ultra-fast 350 kilowatts charging. We'll see what the charging curve looks like. But if Nikola joins in on this, that means that they're reselling a partnership. It's a little deep. Okay, so it can be used as a backup job site, powers workers, blah blah blah. A long time coming. I wonder if it's gonna have the NACS. It would have. Well, Nikola hasn't joined the NACS, but Hyundai has, and we've got news on NACS. I really hope I put it in the in the show. I think I did. For this week, for some reason, most of my tweets, half of my tweets, don't have the preview, but they are in the notebook. Either that's an update to my browser or an update to the notebook. I'll figure it out and work around it. But I didn't realize till it was too late. So, okay, let's see. Long time coming. We've known a commercialized version of the Iveco version of the Hyundai van, which isn't sold as an EV. Oh, that's not so good. So, as we've seen in the past, when a platform tries to be a jack of trades, or worse, it's not designed with EV in mind at all, it leads to a lot of compromises that don't need to be made. Although, if the manufacturer is able to engineer it from the start to have an EV version, there are less of those compromises. So let's see. They knew in February. If the Hyundai would develop and build the chassis. Yeah, I think we looked at like the minis of this. Possibly. We'll see at the end of the show. There's another van, which might be the the partner van that's also showing up. So let's see. What about Nikola? Deal seems pretty similar to the one that Iveco has with Nikola, which begs the question: will Nikola get an e-movie variant to sell in the U.S.? So partnership transitive properties. All right. We've seen it happen elsewhere before, so it could be good. The new electric van will directly target the Ford e-Transit customers in Europe. And are they using the US e-Transit or a different e-Transit? No reason to believe it won't be an attractive alternative for commercial fleets on this side of the pond, especially with the big rig street cred. Really, does Nikola have that? Okay, so it comes with different upfits, which is nice. So you can get it as a cube van or a what do you call this side? Basically a flatbed. Cool stuff. Six comments. Agreed. Yeah, that would be nice here in the States. All else equal, this van's fast charging capability will make businesses pick this over the others. Uh, Yeah, if everything is equal, yeah, but everything won't be equal. Uh, Most businesses are not going to need the fast charging. Ryan says, "Good morning, good morning, Ryan." Let's see on this real quick, and I, and that's what they actually made it look like. Compare that to BYD's E Valley. Let's look at BYD's E Valley. Ask about that. I want to search it. I don't want to search in the sidebar. Just make it happen. Or search. There, they moved it. Oh, BYD. There we go. We don't need any medical whatevers. Uh, all right, let's just look at the car skips one, I suppose. Supposedly this is more attractive. It looked like a van to me. We're still spinning. Let's click it. Ooh, it took me to MSN. That's interesting. All right, so I thought we'd go straight to car scoops. I mean, that just looks like a more aerodynamic version of everybody else's cargo van. Probably a better fit than something mini, but at the same time, something that's in between a full size cargo van and a minivan would probably do great in Europe. Remember, they have a lot of narrow streets where that footprint would be perfect. This looks like we might be seeing it here in the States anytime now. Also at IAA. IAA. Interesting. All right, so continuing on, we've got, it looks like a recall. It is a recall, and that's unfortunate. So an over-the-air software update will not solve this issue. So this is a bring it into the dealer recall. So drivers will need to schedule a dealer appointment. The EV9 has been recalled for faulty remote parking assist, which may not brake properly. And last week's Volkswagen ID4 handle popping, door opening recall got some enthusiasts really chastising me. This is not that big a deal, blah, blah, blah. If your doors are locked, they won't open. So apparently, according to this enthusiast, on the Volkswagen, if your doors are locked, you don't have to worry about them popping open. Not that I ever suggested that the doors are going to fly open. I don't know where he got that unless he was intermingling uh, me with somebody else. But I just said that, hey, the plant is closed. They have a stop sale, and they don't plan to open the plant again until 2025, which tells me that they don't have a solution, and they don't plan to have one anytime soon. Apparently, there are already some solutions, so I don't know if that is based on when your vehicle is built, or if those solutions had not been robust enough, like we saw with the pouch batteries on the Hyundai Kias and the GMs, where they kept trying and trying, and then eventually they just replaced the packs. Not that you're going to get a new pack for door handles that can get water in them. Worst case is they replace your door handles, but what they'll probably end up doing is coming up with some sort of extra splash shield to keep water from migrating into the circuit boards of the door handles and making them pop open. Yes, pop open. They don't fly open unless you're driving recklessly, but if they do unlatch, there is an element of danger there. And this guy says that if they're locked, they won't open from the outside. That's not the way that VW wrote it. So, at your own risk, if you have an ID4, an ID4 that is affected by this. That sounded like all of them. So anyway, so this one, the Kia EV9 has faulty remote park assist that may not brake properly. Not good. So I'm not sure if this is the one where you stand outside the car and park it, or if this is just the one while you're inside and push park. In either case, um, you're going to need to be able to push the brake manually until you get the update. Over 12,000 EV9 SUVs will need a visit to the dealer to fix the issue. I suspect that the reason this can't be done over the air has something to do with their security. They might tell us in the article, but that's my suspicion. On the legacies, even the ones that have more ability to update the cars, certain functions just do not uh, go over the air. And that's probably a good thing for like hacking reasons. Let's see. Certain 2024 EV9s are being recalled because the remote smart parking assist function may not apply enough braking pressure under certain scenarios. There's no over-the-air fix. You'll need to go to the dealer. And let's see, you've got the remote smart parking feature allows drivers to remotely move the car forward or reverse by holding the button on the key fob without anyone inside the vehicle. Okay, so this is equivalent to classic summon, or as Tesla's now calling dumb summon. You can move the car forward and back, but in some cases, when you're moving it to a stop, it won't apply enough brakes, and that's not good. So I would say until you go get this update, probably just don't summon your Kia. Uh, Particularly useful for very tight parking spots. Yes, it is. Or puddles on the ground, or any number of reasons you just need to roll the car. I love doing this. According to NHTSA, due to an error in the integrated electronic parking brake software, so it's the parking brake itself, not even the service brakes. Yeah, I can see why they would need to bring that into the dealer. That's probably just a module they get off the shelf from like Bosch or Borg Warner or ZF or somebody like that. So let's bring it in, jack in directly to your brake, and then update it from there. Or get their shop laptop, plug it into the CAN bus, and then push it across. Let's see. And it probably doesn't have like a nice friendly interface. They probably have to just spit code at it until it verifies that it's back online again. Okay, so they're in an IEB. If the driver repeatedly stops the car using the remote at or less than approximately 2 miles per hour, the vehicle could apply insufficient pressure, which could lead to extended stopping distances or even injuries for pedestrians sitting in the way. Yeah, that's pretty much. Uh, you would be using this feature at really low speeds, and one of the main reasons for stopping it in motion, aside from, hey, you've gone where I want you to go, uh, is obstacles. Like when people decide to walk behind or in front of the car as it's moving, or animals or whatever, or maybe you overestimated and now the car is approaching a wall and you want it to stop. If it doesn't stop correctly or doesn't stay latched, that can be a really bad day. I watched a short. It was really long, but it was a short where a FedEx guy had delivered a package, but something was wrong with his vehicle. He didn't set a parking brake. He just put it in park, and it rolled backwards and it hit the lady's car and her house. And so he gets behind it, which is stupid, trying to push on this 2 to 3 ton van plus more if it's loaded, and unsuccessfully stops it from hitting her house. Then he pulls it forward, puts it back in park, double checks it. I'm assuming he double checks it because after something like this, you're not just going to throw it in park and not verify. While the lady's berating him for hitting her house, she goes inside to get uh, either copy down his information or to get something for him to be able to contact her back. And then the van starts rolling the other direction and hits the neighbor's car. This is kind of like that. Okay, so 12,400 EV9s, but do they all have the feature? Sounds like something they might have in an options package. The dealer will upgrade the braking system software with improved logic that will apply high brake pressure in all scenarios where the remote start parking is. Did they change it from smart start from earlier? Yes, they did. remote smart parking. So there's a typo there. Remote start parking assist is used. The affected EV9s were built between September 25th of 2023 and May 28th of 2024. Wow. Cars manufactured after the 28th have already have the updated IEB software installed and are not part of this recall. So check your build date on your VIN plate down in the door jamb. Oh, here's how it works. Let's take a look. I don't know if we'll have music or if we'll even have audio at all. I might do something about that particular part of the setup. Oh, there's music. Let's mute it. Okay. And let's turn on closed caption in case they speak. All right, so this is like the owner's video right here. And it doesn't look like we'll need captions. Oh yeah, we will. Most smart parking assist 2 helps you remotely park and exit parking spaces. Yeah, it's classic summon, aka dumb summon. Yeah, that's when I use it most right there. Too close to work the doors. Okay. Yeah, that's how mine works. Hit lock. Well, I don't have to hit a remote start button. Hit lock, hold it, and then push the nose or tail of the car, and it'll go. But like I said, mine's old, so I've got to keep up in the app. You just okay, cool. Plus and minus buttons like that. It also oh, it does park empty. Okay, okay. We saw this on an older Hyundai, but they were kind of remote controlling it from the key rather than picking a spot and hit and go. This function is not set as default. Okay. Uh, says remote. Oh, okay. So you got to get it all the way up to the spot and get it ready to go. Get out and then trigger it. Hmm. There's places where that would be useful. Okay. Nifty. All right. And moving on. Our recall section should be done for the week. Thor has some RV packs, which is interesting to me. They have the new extended range RV packs off grid power for days and 500 miles of range. And it's not on a bus chassis, so it's not as robust as it could be, but it can handle all the weight of the batteries. Thor owns a bunch of different brands like Airstream and now I'm drawing a blank, but several different brands. The world's first. I don't know why it's in quotes. Extended range Class A motorhome is the result of a collaboration between Thor Industries and Harbinger Motors. It uses a 1.4 liter gas engine to turn a generator. It also has a 140 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's nice, which can be topped up from a DC or AC charger. Da, 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 da. Medium duty hybrid chassis. They work together to come up with the world's first hybrid Class A motorhome. That's kind of cool that the first hybrid is actually a plug-in hybrid because it took them long enough to get hybrids. Now, if the motor can work without the gas, that would be awesome. Let's take a look. What's up, Lee? Happy Sunday. It's set to go on sale next year. Oh my goodness, it's still one more year away. The towables will be on sale before they make it here. And it does look like that bus, the bus we talked about that has ethanol a couple weeks ago. Packs the same tech inside as the upcoming Ram Charger. Okay. Series hybrid. So yes, you can run it without the gas. I wonder how long you can leave the gas fallow. So it's EREV, which the Volt purported to be and usually was, unless you were doing wicked speed, like over 85 miles an hour, then that thing would gear right on in. Let's see. connected to the gas engine. In the case of Thor's RV, we're doing a 1.4 liter inline four lump. Yeah, four cylinder should be easier to kind of get out of the way. You're space limited on such a vehicle. It is big, but you need that space for other stuff. Uh, four 35 kilowatt hour individual battery packs that together can store 140 kilowatt hours of energy. That's actually a smart way to do it because uh, not really for repairs and stuff unless they are very independently arranged. Then you could replace a pack, but more practical is that it'll allow them to make smaller and larger packs and vehicles. So you can have one that costs a lot less but has half the range, or they can put it on one of their larger vehicles, even up to the straight up bus chassis, and and grow it to make it match. Clever. 35 kilowatt hour also sounds like it'd be something that you could work with one technician rather than several. All right, let's see. 140 kilowatt hours. Battery has 440 horsepower peak and 280 horsepower continuous. Makes sense. You get 1100 foot pounds of torque and 1140, sorry. Excuse me. Thor says it'll take roughly twice the torque of a that'll make roughly twice the torque of a diesel engine. Okay. You can export power from the battery pack, transforming it into a generator. That's good because if you're not out traveling and it's at home, and a hurricane cuts off your town, you can just go out to the rig, and instead of having to sleep in the rig, you can flip a switch and export power to the house. Not that I'm not suggesting that sleeping in the rig would be a punishment if it's the one you picked. It just might not be ready. Oh, you got a 2 day notice. You're about to get hit by a giant major hurricane. What are you gonna do? Right? You might be able to get ready in 2 days, but you're gonna have a lot of scrambling getting the house itself ready. So interesting. The prototype, something called the Thor test vehicle, has an estimated range of 500 miles with both the battery and fuel tank full. Ah, I was wondering how they were getting 500 miles on 100 kilowatt hours. They're not. Uh, y'all know how I feel about manufacturers pushing plugins, but I don't know that this is a bad choice here. The amount of batteries you need for 500 miles range is still excessive. Let's look at some pictures. Are they like slaloming it? That would be fun, I think. It looks a little bit like it's based on a step fan. I have to look and see who Harbinger is now. They used to be somebody else. Uh, it might actually be a step fan. It might. They didn't need to look that unattractive. Look at the frame. They could have put anything on it, and they chose that. I think Harbinger used to be Thor or Zeus. We'll look it up. According to Green Car Reports, Harbinger delivers the frame, suspension, and propulsion and safety systems, and the outfitters have the task of fitting the body and remaining systems. Chassis has an estimated service of 20 years. Oh, that's good. So maybe they'll loosen up their 10-year requirement at some of the parks. Fully independent double wishbone suspension, that's nice. Steer by wire, also good. Just like on the Cybertruck, they say. Maybe. So then that would be nice to have rear steering on that. I don't know if you can with duals though. Probably can. It's just more engineering. While there are all-electric campers out there, their limited driving range of roughly 200 miles on a full charge makes them hard to sell to people who like to go on long journeys. Where have you found an electric camper? I mean, we've seen the conversions of the Bright Drop and a couple of the others, but I haven't seen a commercial one that you can buy. There are the two towables, but that's different. And they didn't put any link to this claim of theirs. The original Volt had a 1.4-liter engine to back it up. Yeah, originally. No way it can power an RV. Yes, it can. Just run a little faster and have a mountain mode, just like Volt had, so that you can hit it before you get to the mountains. It doesn't power an RV, it charges an RV. Yep. Only needs to provide average power. Volt is not an analog, it is a pure serial. This is a pure serial. Yeah, so the Volt purported to be a pure serial, but it was not. And this one and the RAM charger, from what we can see, they are. Good software will solve any potential problems, yes. The 1.4-liter naturally aspirated was not turbocharged. My Voltec-based Cadillac CT6 2.0 weighs almost 5,000 pounds when loaded and can still make 60 miles per hour in 5 seconds. Voltec-based Cadillac CT6. Did they make that? I knew they had the, it wasn't the CT6 though. This must be the one that comes from China. It's gotta be. With the V6, with the V8. So now I gotta look that up in Harbinger Motors. Let's look it up. It's probably the one from China. Rear-wheel drive, plug-in. Yep. Or this came out after I left GM. 2017. Uh, 2018. Was it a California only car? That would do it too. This might be the Chinese one. Or it was after I left. Well, definitely after I left, it was 17 because my Model S was a 16. It's clever to see they actually did something with it. That's cool. Oh, here we go. 62 mpge, not terrible. 25 mpg, ouch. 2-motor. They love that price point. They did. They're like, oh, you should get the ELR. That's what the other Cadillac was. The ELR was the Cadillac Volt with 2 doors instead of 4 and a trunk instead of a hatchback. Odd choice. They didn't sell many of them. And so they had a short-lived ad where they put that against the Model S, the early Model S, and realized that was a bad idea. So max EV range is 31 miles, so it's very, very voltish. And that's, EPA range, so you could do better, or you would do worse. 0-60 in 5.2. It's better than the Volt, but I wonder if they stunted it to keep it from competing with with their Cadillac V series, the CTS-V. Probably. All right, so now we need to figure out who Harbinger Motors was. That's not helpful. Maybe they have a history. Oh, we were on the company page. Yeah, there's the RV we were just talking about. Brembo. Oh, Bimbo Bakeries, yes. I thought it was Bimbo Breaks. All right. History. That's just their company again. Medium duty, lithography. Thor. No, that's the Thor that we just talked about. I invest in Harbinger, Ridgeline.vc. Giga casting as battery packs. That's kind of cool to see. All right, let's Wikipedia them, I guess. They don't have a Wikipedia. Really? All right, let me check something real quick. To the robots. Denji. Ah, okay, okay. I had put in for more information on their large van, and never got a word back from them. So Chunky was an electric vehicle startup focused on medium-duty electric vehicles, trucks, and after some changes, rebranded to Harbinger Motors. Harbinger shifted towards providing electrified solutions specifically for the medium-duty commercial market with an emphasis on scalable, affordable EV technologies. So now that I've got that, I can show you what they used to make, and we know who they are, not just who they say they are. Oh, they phoenixed. Oh boy, let's look into this. I did not expect we would be doing this today. Let's start with Ryder, and then that might explain why they never wrote back. Ryder says Startup Chunky owes millions for undelivered vans. A new lawsuit says that FedEx is owed vans too. And yeah, so remember, this was this really nice, extra long, extra big um, cargo van, like even bigger than the largest sprinters that we see today. I think Sprinter makes the biggest one. Maybe, maybe not. Although the Rivian and the Bright Dropper bigger than those, probably the same size as this. They're owed nearly $4 million after Janky failed to deliver 100 of the 125 vans promised. They got 25 out of wow. At least they got 25, not zero. Massive shift forward to electric propulsion, blah, blah, blah. 35,000 per vehicle up front, 10,000 upon delivery. So they just didn't charge enough for them then, probably. Ryder made an additional deposit of $4.3 million. $375 million. Uh, they're also supposed to be the exclusive sales and service provider for the startup's vans. They received 22 by the end of 17, but when it went to pay the 10,000 deposit on those, they mistakenly made the full 45 for each. That's partly on you, yo. An overpayment of $770,000, and that's when the trouble started. What? So they got some, and it was going smoothly, but then you overpaid them, and they fell apart. That's 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 no bueno. One, how did your how do your departments do that? And two, if they got more than they were counting on, how did they not handle it? Incredible. Oh, according to the lawsuit, Ryder got FDG to agree to loan money to Janky to pay the overpayments. And FTG to agree to loan money to Janky to pay back the $3.5 million in deposits, which ultimately Ryder paid back $500,000 of the overpayment money, but hasn't paid the truck rental company another dollar since. Therefore, Ryder says it's still owed $377,000. So $3,770,000. Interesting. They were quiet from their debut. Yeah. In the time since Jackie came onto the scene. Okay. Interesting. EV startup and its charismatic CEO nearly cornered the market for electric delivery vans until it all fell apart. So I need to double check that they are Harbinger. That could change things about whether or not this thing will actually make it to market. Importing delivery vans from China. Yeah, that's why they look the way they did. But they were left-hand drive, yeah. Well, not that China isn't. What is this? This is a herb? The the phonetic pronunciation didn't help either. Uh, Ayahuasca. Uh, to change their it's a tropical vine native to the Amazon region, noted for its hallucinogenic properties. Yeah, you should leave your drug suggestions to the corporate clinic. Change their perspective at difficult moments. Sweeping mandatory personal and professional development. Interesting. Quietly folded earlier this year, and The Verge learned that isn't Harbinger historically supposed to be a warning to others? Yes. Oh, yes, astrology car lunacy. Oh, here's a warning to others: don't do what we did before. It's assuming they're the same company. I'm gonna check that to make sure. Uh, FedEx is suing them. This is all in 2021 at this point. Wow, this wasn't his first foray into electric vehicles. The origins are far more complicated than the inspirational drug trip. Oh yeah, he worked at Smith Electric Vehicles, the oldest in the world, founded in 1920 in the UK. Smith spent much of the 20th century building short-range electric delivery vehicles, and at one point held the exclusive rights to make the Mr. Softy ice cream vans in the UK. I love Mr. Softy vans in New York. I don't know if they are any kind of related. Uh, the last couple times I've been to New York, it was either out of season or out of hours to catch a Mr. Softy van. Disappointing. Is ice cream? I'm after ice cream when I go to New York. Bagels? Got to get the bagels. They have some of the best bagels in the world. Two things I need not be messing with, but I could sample the flavors. This is so weird. All right, let's do Control F for Harbinger. Does not appear. All right, so let's do this. Janky Harbinger. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so that's what the front of it looked like. 2017. Stealth mode. Stealth mode. Harbinger. This is them. Anything to connect them to Chunky. Not on this. But we got the guy's name, right? So let's go back. Let's go back to the slow failing whatever, and let's go back to Harbinger. I don't want to make a bookmark of this page. That's useless. Harbinger. Go to their corporate page, and they look more like Thor to me, though. the way that they're built. Than Jaggy. John Harris, Philip Weaker, Will Eberts, Gilbert Pass. And who was Brian Hansel? And he's not on this board. There's John Harris. All right, let's go a little deeper. Not change. I told you who I wanted. Only for that. Okay. Orchid Project. There are a couple of these companies, it seems. Oh, I don't know what messages I'm going to get. Oh, birthdays. Okay. I'm doxing myself. Renewables and environment with Hawthorne. I don't want to try premium for free. I want to know who was last in charge of this thing. LinkedIn member, LinkedIn member, LinkedIn member, LinkedIn member. All right, so Trung is not there. They could be related. The robot says they are. I don't. They look more like Thor, but Thor I think is still around. No, they're like Zeus. Zeus. Let's get back on track. Sorry about the distraction. Uh, Next up, we've got Xpeng. Xpeng is gearing up to launch 2 efficient, super efficient electric sedan. I wonder if they've got a copy of the AI4 board on board. There we go. It doesn't look bad. Looks like the Sony car to me. I will talk about Sony later as well. Interesting. I mean, all their vehicles look pretty decent. So it's going to be the P7 Plus, get 11 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, or 5.65 miles per kilowatt hour, and its most efficient setup. Truly remarkable number, comparable to the Model 3 and Ioniq 6 and the Lucid Air Pure. So in the upper echelon. I noticed that the charge door was in the wrong spot for if they come to the States. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to share that they had that. And iron ore billionaire Andrew Forrest struck a $2.8 billion deal that will see hundreds of giant electric trucks, excavators, and dozers installed at its huge iron ore mines to help eliminate the burning of fossil fuels. Here's what he's buying: 360 autonomous battery electric haul trucks. Wow. Wow. 55 electric excavators, and 60 new battery electric dozers. Pretty darn cool. It's an important step to eliminate emissions from our Australian iron ore operations by the end of the decade. The world needs real zero now, and it simply cannot afford to wait. So he put his money where his mouth is, that's for sure. Whole new fleet. Wow. The green solutions we need are here today, and Fortescue Zero is supplying them and rolling them out across our massive mining operations. So these we talked about Fortescue a couple weeks ago, and here they are making big sales. Repower, probably, because that's what they do, repowers the existing rigs. Probably some new ones as well based on those purchases. The momentum is building towards an EVs in the industry. Tesla Semi is part of it. It will be when normal companies can get it. Switzerland has already had e-dumpers since 2019. They've been out longer than that, but that's not the point. This guy, I'm not assuming not just him, but his company just flipped their fleet, or if they didn't flip the whole thing, they just put a whole new fleet in that's EV. A lot more than just one. Disappointed you called him an iron ore billionaire when you could have used the word magnate. Yes. Robert sent a picture of ice cream today. Fluffy cat. I will take a look. The baby's been keeping me on my toes. She picked out my outfit today. She said, lemon. Daddy likes lemon. And I do like lemons. And she does not want lemons. She does not like like this, but I want to keep my nose out of Australian politics. That's world politics right there, Bo. Just show her Toyota TV advert, hyper hydrogen EV petrol diesel. They got you covered. Yeah, I still need to make that article about Toyota. I got the one done about meritocracy. Got 4 articles that aren't really directly attached to what I do normally, so they're interesting. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I've got a post about what? I don't remember. My experience with the latest updates of the FSD beta, FSD supervised. So the first drive on 12.5.4 loaner Model 3 was done. It felt nicer than 12.5.1. My car downloaded it in the shop, and then they rolled it back to 12.3.6, put that back on there, and I wonder if that explains what I'm having now. I've got a mismatch between the battery and the BMS, uh, which is interesting. The Then later that night, it updated to 12.5.1.2, and then immediately when I got it back to the driveway here, it downloaded 12.5.4. So it's now running what I became accustomed to, minus the driver attentive monitoring, because my car doesn't have an internal camera that they can access. So I have to hold my hand on the nub of the yoke. Whereas in the Model 3, the up until I drove it through a hurricane, the only time I had to touch the wheel was when reversing it out of my aunt's driveway, and actually my cousin's driveway. My aunt was there, uh, reversing it out of the driveway, and then a couple times at night I had to touch the wheel because it couldn't see my eyes. But in the hurricane, there were a couple points where the car's like, your turn. And so take over now. I do notice that you get more warning for the takeover now, or maybe just starts earlier, where mine would normally do the kind of like the pre-warning, and it's like you tell it's spooling up to just beep at you. That one just started beeping at you from that same point. But overall, I liked 12.5.4. Still like it on the current car. Finally off of 12.3.6. However, let's see. I liked what it was doing. Feels different, but other than speed being too low. So yeah. So at night, this thing doesn't want to go as fast as it should. On the Model 3, it was reporting a 30 that was actually a 40 or 45. And Mine does show the speed limit detected, but was it last night or night before last? Either way, last time I was driving my car at night, it was trying to go 40 in a 50, and it wasn't clear why. And then it would accept if I pushed it up, it would go a little faster, then slow back down. Not to where it was, but just slow back down. And then did that a couple times, and then we got behind somebody who was actually going that slow, so I couldn't see if it would hold it. Uh, Interesting. I think I might be compliant with Twitch because Robert's messages are here in the multi-stream, but they're not showing on chat. Well, the good thing is I don't have to worry about violating Twitch policies. Twitch doesn't like the idea of a multi-stream. I mean, they don't like that, but they don't like the multi-chat once they acquiesced and gave us back multi-stream. And Instagram, they blocked us from starting today somehow. Their interface is not. It doesn't make sense to me. All right, so yeah, so the slowness at night was odd so far. That's my only complaint with it. Uh, Smart summon versus actually smart summon. That one I do not understand. I love the streaming cameras to the app, and that's also apparently why we didn't get actually smart summon on these legacy cars because for whatever reason we don't have the streaming cameras, and anytime you ask about it, they pretend they didn't see you. Moving on. It's like there's no good reason for this except for trying to sell new cars, and I suspect that's what it is, and they know it's stupid, so they won't ever address it. Or there was some technical thing that they're working out, and they'll get over it, and they'll tell us then. But it's you've got a 2021, like the last before the Palladiums come out, Model S and Model X, and then they tell you it's legacy. Oh, it's legacy. You don't get anything. And then you've got a 2017 Model 3 that they add this stuff to. All their excuses about the screen size and rotation don't matter because the screen's not on for remote sentry view. I, I know because I checked it. It wasn't a copy of what was looking in the app. So I don't know what their problem is on that. But because of that, we don't have actually smart summon. We just have the same old smart summon we had before. Uh, I do know that it uses the new FSD 12 perception, but in using it, I can't see how it's any different. So look at this example here. It seems faster and navigates a little better, but it looks like a gimmick because I took it to the drugstore, the pharmacy, and it's 4 in the morning, and like, all right, there's nobody here. There's one car. They probably work here. Let's call the car over to the front door. It unparks nicely. It's an angle park. That's why I park nose in. I almost never park nose in. It backs out, starts coming to us, decent clip, and then it just kind of parks across the driveway, which it's 4 a.m. It's fine, right? No, no. All of a sudden, I'm getting in the car, and there's another car shows up to be impatient, and it's just my luck that whenever I try to do some of these fancy things like smart summon uh, or auto park or whatever, people just show up to be impatient. It's kind of annoying, especially at 4 in the morning. Where were you? So I'm running to the car to get in it, make it move, and then I can put the seatbelt on when I'm not blocking the traffic. I don't see what's different about it, other than it works on cars that didn't have it before, and because they won't answer me because I keep including the bit about the cameras, I don't know what's different at all. It doesn't feel any different. Fluffy is watching me. Hello, Fluffy. Good to see you. Uh, Okay, so also, yeah, it can go fart or tada at the end of the operation, depending on whether it succeeded or failed. And then it's got random sounds it can make as well. That's Moto. She likes to push the doorbell. I assume that's Moto. Let me look. Yeah, I hear it now. That's Moto. Um, yeah, so that was my experience with the latest versions of 12.5.4 and actually Smart Summon. Hello, baby. What's wrong? You went walking in sandals? Yeah, you came back. That didn't hurt your feet walking those sandals? You got sneakers? All right. Take off your shoes. All right. So yeah, that was my experience with that software. Also, real quick, you get the wheel track preview from so on the Cybertruck when you put it in reverse, it kind of shows you what the path will be and then what will happen with the wheels where they'll track, which is helpful on that truck because a lot of people are still getting used to it, a lot of people are still receiving it, and it's a helpful visualization. Even cooler was to see it on this car that had been out forever because this loaner that I had was it said it was a 2021, but it was clearly a 2022 uh, Model 3 long range all wheel drive with the Intel chip and the ultrasonic sensors. So maybe it was a 21 at the changeover. But in the app, it said it was a 22. Everywhere else, it said 21. So I'm ready to see Park Seek slash Banish. Since our Legacy is a Model X, it'll look just like the 2016 video since the self-presenting doors and cameras can work together to do their thing. If Cybertruck had some self-presenting doors, I'd have made a questionable financial decision. I'd have made some questionable financial stretches already. Nervous laughter. Because as you notice, I am not driving a Cybertruck right now because uh, we like to eat more than just ramen. All right, so that was me and Smart Summon and actually Smart Summon and 12.5.4. Ford drivers don't realize that EV perks like charging at home. This is coming from which Ford exec? Is it Mr. Farley? No. Marin Jaja explained that most drivers don't realize the major perks of driving an EV. Not only is it more efficient, but it's also offers extra benefits like skipping lines at the gas station. We got a whole video on this about the myth of the 3 minute gas fill, which is actually 7 minutes. Still short, but all them 7 minutes per month add up. And yes, on the road, 7 minutes is shorter than 15 to 45, depending on what you're working with. But is it really that much of a difference? You've got most people won't drive the distances that would matter, like I do. They would fly or take a bus or a train, and then it doesn't matter. And then on the other side of it is once you do take a trip that far, that long, I don't know what she's making. It smells ridiculously bad. Ugh, appealing. Um, who doesn't like huffing fumes in a rainstorm? Exactly. I mean, do it up. In a rainstorm, standing there in the cold. And if you have to do diesel, it's always slimy for some reason. Uh, Future Asa can join us on screen or in the comments, whatever he wants to do. Uh, let's see. I just it makes sense, and you, the only time that you have an advantage is on long trips, and even then, it's not that much of an advantage because yeah, you might lose an hour and a half on the longest of trips, but if you're somewhere where you lost an hour and a half to charging, that's gonna be like a week's vacation. You're going to Disney, you're going out camping or whatever, and I think that's you're going to forget all about that hour and a half twice. So it's 3 hours total on the trip if you taking that long of a trip. Took my family on a hayride yesterday. It was fun to be downwind from that nonsense. Oh my goodness, yeah. Why is that not a Ford Lightning or a Cybertruck or a Hummer EV? I mean, it's a perfect use case. You can hear the presenter. You're not bathing them in fumes. Probably is what they've always done, and this is why change anything mentality. Ugh. I mean, and if it was with a tractor, they have EV tractors now too. So they're not as affordable as an electric pickup truck, but you can do it with a Model X. Get a used one, $20,000 or less, and that's for a good one. You don't even have to have a good one to do hay rides. Just get one and do that. Oh, and if you're using it for a hayride, you can write it off as a farm implement. Because if that's all you got it for was to pull the pull the wagons, it's heavy enough because it weighs 58 for the performance with the small wheels. Yeah, because the GVWR is or GWVR is over 6,000 pounds, so you can use it as a farm implement and write it off as a tractor if you only use it for that purpose. So find a good used one. It's not tax advice. Go talk to your tax people about this, but um, yeah, it's out there. All right, it seems the streaming software wanted to probe my network. That's a little weird. I allowed it, but should I have? I don't know. It was in my way. I clicked it. Yeah. So then you also get these awesome features like the vehicle to load, vehicle to home, eventually vehicle to grid. There's just so much that these people don't understand and don't recognize. In we have a chat on the show where we were talking about our friend Lee. Told us Happy Sunday. She was talking with some folks who were just hating on Model Y. Never rode a Model Y. Never drove a Model Y. Don't know anything about it. And yet, oh, there's somebody here. Is it Future Asa? Our friend Brian? Yes, it is. Hello. Let's make you got mine show on stream. There we go.
Howdy, howdy.
And howdy. Now I should be able to send you. Whoops. I should be able to send you back my feed, so you don't have to look at the delay. Chat box, webcam, logo. All right, let's do the window capture. That's good enough. And is it working?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Perfect. I mean, this poor guy's right. Lee's friends were talking about, oh, I could never do that. I heard they were trash. Like, if you don't even take it for a test drive, how do you know how if it's telling you it's a squeaky wobbly mess? That's easy to figure out.
You can't know what you're missing. See, I had been so deep in the Tesla bubble that I was under the impression that all EVs that weren't Tesla were garbage. And then I had a chance to drive a couple of Fords and some Volkswagen. I mean, there's some really great cars out there
Yeah,
if you like driving yourself around.
exactly.
But I don't like driving myself around. I'm too soft, Kacey. I'm accustomed to those driving assist features. I'm
You should.
accustomed to a painless charging experience.
Yes, yes. You should see me in that stupid Jeep rental. I was just wigging out. Like the cruise control kept trying to run up everybody's rear. Like
May I
this,
interest you in 500 buttons?
I, yeah, it had too many buttons. Like I couldn't figure out how to make sure it was in too high instead of 4 low or whatever 4 high. It did not move. And the cruise control was literally the 1958 Chrysler Autopilot, Auto Dash Pilot, and
Wow.
I think the only difference was instead of being like vacuum controlled, it was running on, you know, microcircuits, transistors.
Hmm.
But you set the speed, And if you're doing 70 and the person in front of you is doing 65, eventually you're going to collide with them.
You
My
will hit
20,
them.
yeah, my 2010 Volt, well, 2012, but the 2010 Volt had a Mobileye camera, and it didn't do the pacing and the speed, but if you got in the no zone, it would just turn off cruise. You
Hmm.
don't hit them.
Hmm.
It would beep too, so you knew why you were going slower. And
That's, I mean, even that is something. Yeah, the comfort and convenience is ridiculous. People who've never driven one, I've had the same experience where I meet people who say, "Oh yeah, no, I don't like them." And I say, "It's outside. You want to go for a spin?" And they go,
right,
"Nah, nah, nah." Then there's the other kind of people. I got
yeah,
to meet one of my viewers a while back who drives a Leaf, and he's a big, big Tesla supporter. And I said,
nice.
"Have you driven one?" And he said, "No." I said, "Would you
Oh,
like to?" And he said,
I shouldn't.
"No." I shouldn't. I know what will happen. I'm not getting behind, and that's, I get that too. It's the
Yes,
most dangerous test drive you will take.
yes. It was for me. Oh man. Oof.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you had a
yeah.
chance to try out Smart Summon. Have you had a chance to try it again? The actually
I
Smart Summon?
have. I've tried it 2 more times, and it actually smart summoned.
Oh,
I did it
nice.
once at the at the pumpkin patch, and I was very
Oh,
surprised because the parking lot was grass. It was the dude's front yard kind of,
yeah.
and it backed out, it went around the tree, it came up to us just fine. And I
Nice.
joked with the guy because he was of a pretty outspoken persuasion. I said, I could summon it all the way to where we're standing, and he said, "Please don't," because that was past where they wanted cars.
Gotcha.
And I appreciate that. We're in a kind of very festival sort of environment, but, and then I tried it again at, where was I? I don't remember. I tried it, at the grocery store, and it worked just fine. In one of
Nice.
those, it was backing out of the parking spot, and the other, it was pulling into the parking spot, and, it worked great both times.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Oh, I also had one more chance to try it before I had to switch it back for my actual car. And it was also at the grocery store. And they had like a they look like the gore marks in between the highways,
Right?
but it was really just
Oh,
like a
yeah.
fire lane slash loading zone. And so I called it to there, and it would not enter the zone. But thankfully, the store had been closed for like 20 minutes. And so it just stopped in the road again, but not across the road like it did at the drugstore. In the road. I was like, this is fine. Then we just loaded it up and went about our business. But it would not enter the loading zone.
The other thing I've seen it want to do is park in, like, cart corrals. I think it was Paul Foss who posted
It
that
offers
where
like, hey, you want to park here?
there's nothing in here. You could totally fit, my friend. I'm not gonna park in the car. That would be hilarious. You use Banish, you go in the store, you come out, you got a ticket for parking in the cart corral.
Terrible. Especially if people decided, oh, well, I'll park my cart behind you, or you get the kids that like to shove it in there, and now you've got like, it better be a Cybertruck at that point.
Yeah. Ah,
Hopefully, that's why we don't have Banish yet. But I
yeah,
think that's gonna be,
yeah.
I think that's gonna be awesome. And
So I do have one last chance to get into 1010, and that
oh,
is
okay,
through the strength of my one ticket that I have as a for a pair of referrals that landed during the window. And it's fun seeing a lot of people say, "This is crazy. I should be there," or "This person should be there." It's like, right, but those people have been to so many events, and I
yes,
haven't.
yeah.
But
And some of the people they do not come back with anything for the community, or if they do, it's not objective or considered.
it's not novel. It's not
That
novel. I
that
wanted
yeah
to see the Cybertruck reveal, and then when I didn't get to, I wanted to see any of the Cybertruck and appearances ever, and I didn't get to
yeah.
until it went to the Peterson Museum where I could just purchase a ticket, and I did for opening day, and I discovered a half dozen things that no one else had caught.
Yeah.
And I made a video about it, and it was one of my biggest videos, but that was 4 years after the fact.
Yes.
And it's like, well, yeah, but there were 100. I mean, you could just go back and watch the other videos, right? But I can't get the answers.
Right.
People were saying that in the bed that there was going to be tracks along the bottom for,
Yeah.
like T tracks.
Yeah.
No, those were strips of grippy tape.
Oh.
Uh, they were saying
So the
that it was
tracks are the ones
all
we see today.
Well, the bed does the bed
Not on
itself
the
have
floor, but on the
no,
side.
these were on no, but on the bed, people
Yeah,
thought those grippy
they look
stripes
they
were
look like it.
T-tracks. They
Yeah.
did. They certainly did. People thought it was already origami folded, and once I
Oh,
saw it, I saw there was a seam down the bed rail, down the side of the bed,
wow.
so it wasn't folded yet. They wanted to know how you were going to grain the stainless steel, and that was a question I had, and then I
Yeah.
saw it and saw no grain. I mean,
Oh,
these are I mean, you're maybe their objective is to invite people who don't know what the hell they're looking at.
perhaps.
But on this one, they've got it's a robo-taxi event, and they've got all the AI people there. They've got all the FSD people there. They've got everyone. They've got everyone. There's like 3 of us who don't have tickets. And it's at this point, I mean, is it like a running gag, or is it I don't know,
Maybe they're afraid of real
incompetence,
questions.
malice?
Because I know
Well,
you and several others would ask some great questions, and some of the folks that are already in are gonna rah-rah cheerlead. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with that, but when every version of FSD is the greatest one ever, and that last one that you just said was the greatest one ever is total shite.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they might not like me. There's a real possibility they may not like me, for I spoke the truth.
I mean,
But
like I said about Elon and his new friends, I would much rather the people who talk trash about me to my face and then bring loads of cash with forklifts up to the loading dock than the people who glad hand all over me and then try to kill my businesses while I'm looking the other way.
yeah, yeah, it's that's actually really a very good point. There are some misconceptions about what this election is. The gentleman at the pumpkin patch likes to talk politics, which is
Oh
not
wow,
the venue, my friend. You
nah,
are the CEO of a pumpkin patch.
happy little kids.
I don't think we should be necessarily turning to you for the best of advice, but he
Yeah,
was very open about a number of really gross misconceptions about politics, and I really showed him, Casey. I nodded and smiled politely and walked away.
but sometimes it's the only
Because
way.
oh, it's the only way. You
Yeah.
want to get a lifetime ban from a pumpkin patch, Casey? I got
No,
kids.
right. At least so they don't want to go anymore, right?
Well, uh, 2 of the kids I brought were adults,
Okay. So then, yeah, you
but,
never want that then.
yeah.
Been into one last night where somebody had asserted that it's been 4 years. How come they didn't get anything done? I was like, well, it was really 2 years, and then you had two individuals that said that they were part of the group, but they demanded and extracted concessions for everything.
Mm. Get
And
what done?
I don't know, whatever this person thought they should have completed in 4 years with the barest of
Oh,
margins.
no, he was mad because the police were not as responsive as he wanted to an eviction at an apartment,
Oh,
and that's because of communism.
communists did that?
I guess I guess. So I was like, "Oh, I have no way to start this conversation."
Yeah, yeah. Oof.
So I don't I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh, so
There
after I explained, that it wasn't really a full 4 years of do what you want, whereas, the last guy and the guy before him, they got 2 years of enjoying a majority to get stuff done. This
Mhm,
guy had 2 years, but they were not a free for all like the others
mhm.
because it wasn't a true trifecta. This other person pops in. And it's like something about build a wall. I'm like, I looked at the thread. I'm like, all the way up. There's nothing in my column of this thread about walls.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's if the question is, who's going to be better for electrification? Because in
yes,
terms of policy, that's one of my biggest issues, and we have some track record to look at.
yeah,
We know that 2 presidents ago, we had the original IRA bill.
yeah,
We know it expired, under the previous president, and under the current president, a new version was made, which
right.
expanded to say It's not just
incredibly.
electrification we need. We also need battery manufacturing, and we're going to incentivize that.
Yeah,
And the
and do it at
battery
home.
and do it well, that's what I mean, is do it domestically, make
Yeah,
the US the leader in the sort of technology that we're going to have moving forward. And then when it uh, became clear that a second term was not imminent, those battery manufacturers pulled back on their plans and in many cases canceled the factories completely because that $35 per kilowatt hour as a manufacturing credit, it has been slated for removal.
oh
And
man,
if if uh, if they get their way, that will be gone. And those battery manufacturers, even if the odds are only 30% that it goes away or 20% that it goes away, they have to
yeah,
weigh that. It's a business decision.
it is.
So for electrification, the guy screaming drill baby drill, maybe not the
Yeah,
best for
right.
EVs. The one who's saying that every bridge in the country will have to be rebuilt, maybe is not being entirely honest about electrification or does
Yeah,
not have a complete understanding. Tesla will win. Tesla will win either way. There is no two ways about it. They are so
yeah,
far ahead that they will win the electrification race. But the question is, will they win the Olympics or will they win the Special Olympics? So
right.
I think both medals count,
They do.
um, but I don't think Wall Street weighs them equally.
They do not. Thank you, Zachary. I appreciate it. He gave us 4.99. Great job. Great
Hey, very
job.
cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
So I mean, with that, I think that mirrors what we were hearing about, but obviously probably more factual than what we were hearing about Giga Mexico. The reasoning why that thing has not done anything yet. Uh,
Have you and I talked about that?
we have.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
yeah, the reasoning didn't make sense. It's on hold because of something that happened in politics a year after we decided not to move forward. I
Right.
don't believe
And
you.
oh, let me back the guy who's going to make it not possible to do it.
So you're on hold because the guy you support doesn't want Mexican cars in America. By the way, stopping the import of Mexican made automobiles will really hurt GM, Ford, Stellantis, Volkswagen, BMW. It'll hurt everybody.
Yes.
And it'll hurt Mexico.
Yes.
And
And you hurt all of
if there's
them.
one thing yeah, when you hurt your neighbor, when you bankrupt your neighbor, do you get to act surprised that your newspaper's missing off your front porch?
Right. And then all of those taxpayers without jobs, it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't go well. And we're not even talking
Uh,
EVs at that point. We're talking
no,
just manufacturing.
manufacturing. Yeah,
Wow.
and China doesn't care. China says, we're gonna
They have
we're
other
gonna do
customers.
our thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna do our thing. Yeah, the world is a big place. If you want to isolate and fall behind, go for it. Go for it. But
Yeah.
we'll
Wow.
see.
Yeah. So the board guy is onto something, and if you haven't tried it yet, give one of us a call. We might be in the area. There's Drive Electric Week going on right now. You want to tell us about Drive Electric Week?
So Drive Electric Week started not that long ago, 5-10 years ago. And the idea is you've never driven an EV, come drive an EV. That simple. And they've got little chapters, they've got big chapters, and they're everywhere. And it used to be a week, and they said, you know what? A lot of places can't do it that week. Let's expand it. Whatever you can do within this month ish.
Yeah.
And in Oregon, we did ours, I think, a week before the window opened. No one
Wow.
cares. Just drive electric.
Yeah.
And you'll get all these manufacturers who will come out. They'll bring their cars. They'll answer your questions. You can do test drives. They'll take you around the block. In the case of ours in Oregon, they were doing Cybertruck test drives, which was fun for me because I'm out there, shooting stuff, and I keep going, wow, I keep seeing Cybertrucks go by. Oh no, that's the same one.
That's the same one.
Because we're not like in a neighborhood, we're down in an industrial area. And
Yeah.
some of these Drive Electric Weeks, they'll have presenters, they'll have vendors, there'll be booths, and a lot of people will bring out their hand built you
Those are
know
fun.
project EVs
Yeah.
and show them off. Ron from our group brought out his little travel trailer that he hauls with his Model Y. Yeah, he goes on vacation with his Model Y. I don't know if you know anything about people who do that.
A little bit.
So little you might know a thing or two about that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
That's
Uh,
how I got the
he
100,000 miles.
yeah. How many have you been to?
I went to quite a few in the Volt era and 2 with the Model S, and then I need to get back. I need to get back.
Well, they're a lot of fun,
They
and
are.
you'll meet interesting people, but if you have questions and you think they're weird or you think they're dumb,
They're
ask
not.
them.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not. And, uh, my philosophy on answering questions, and it seems to be the one I see overwhelmingly, is there is no such thing as a dumb question.
Right.
I, uh, I gave a presentation last Thursday at Tesla in, Tigard, Oregon, and I didn't get very many questions. There was only about 20, 25 people there, which, by the way, is the most anxious I've been at a presentation in, like, a year because I can see all of you.
Oh.
And it's like, no, the lights aren't down. I'm in a room talking to all of you, and I only know some of you.
Ah.
One of the questions I got was, "What's up with the Tesla phone?" And I answered it sincerely
Yeah.
because he's not an idiot,
Right.
despite what his question might suggest. He's someone who just has a casual understanding.
Yeah.
If you
And
know,
it's not a
and
normal
if
possibility. It's just not likely at the moment.
it it doesn't fit for a bunch of reasons. The
Yeah.
biggest one is he only goes into industries he believes he can completely disrupt.
Right.
And I can't imagine a technology that would entirely disrupt cell phones. If they come up with
There's
one.
Starlink, but
Right, well, but that already works with other people's phones.
exactly. So not a
So you
yeah.
wouldn't really need that.
You're
So,
just the pipe.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I look for
Well, I
when
guess you
yeah,
could disrupt the cell service, but you don't need to disrupt the cell phone to do that.
right, right. Uh, and yeah, you don't unless you think you can get Apple margins, he won't do it.
Yeah, and you can't get Apple
And
margins nowadays on the phones.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Apple can't anymore.
no. Apple struggles, but I went out with Drake from, the Ocala, Florida Cyberfest, and he made me stand in line with him to pick up his 16 because the 15 is so yesterday.
Yes.
And, and if you wanna talk about a need for FSD, it was magical. Not only, was he driving while on the phone and speeding, but he was transferring his 15 to his 16, and he had a hiccup, so he needed to use a 3rd phone to, dial in and get some customer support. He was on 3 phones
Oh,
while
wow.
speeding.
While speeding.
So that was hairy.
Yeah. Zachary is asking us,
Yeah,
what is the link to Drive Electric Week?
I don't have it handy. I don't have it handy. I can pull it if you want.
Yes, please.
Uh, National Drive oh,
Yeah.
I guess I do.
Oh,
Driveelectricweek.org.
driveelectricweek.org. I'll type that in the chat.
I'll pop it in the chat. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
perfect.
pop it in the well, I did it. You can see if it actually shows up.
It should.
Sometimes, it
Oh, it might,
should. I've posted yeah,
yeah,
I've
some people
posted
do
links
links, yeah.
on, uh, on Herbert's show before that didn't show up, and I was like, that's very weird." But it's just driveelectricweek.org. Yeah. Uh, and there are a lot of, great groups that come to those, great answers to be had. Some merch. You might get a hat. You need a hat. They have hats. You're coming out ahead.
There was a bag the last time I went, a bag and a thermos or something, and pens. They were
Hmm,
nice. Yes.
pens.
Yeah.
I so a year ago at Fully Charged in BC, I got a free pen. Was it Fully Charged? No, it was in Michigan at the
Yeah.
Michigan event. There's a group out there. It was a recycled pen. Like
Oh, cool.
almost all of the pen was recycled. The tube was recycled. And I was like, oh wow, you know what? I got one of these last year. I wonder what happened to it. All right, I'll take another pen. And I went to use it and it broke.
Oh,
I was like, that's why. That's it. So yeah, they're
that's what I
garbage.
thought here.
It's not the right application. It fell apart in 0 uses, so I think I'm adding more trash at this point.
Yeah, so they need to watch the material science before they add recycling to that one. I mentioned earlier that the Nikola questionnaire on a van that looked very much like this, and then that we found out it actually did have a Hyundai connection. Here it is. Hyundai is launching their first chassis cab, and I wrote that this thing is finally on the market. They showed us a pint-sized version where they pointed out how you could remove the chassis cab and put on a dump bed and put on a bus bed, and I don't think that anybody will actually be changing the shells of their truck van, but
Okay, so Kia, you said, or Hyundai?
Hyundai, Kia,
Well, because at CES, Hyundai and Kia gave separate presentations. Hyundai, oh, we were excited. It was a big room, a big, long, skinny room. Oh no, it's a very wide room, extremely wide, and only about like 5 rows deep. Very weird, but the whole long, skinny wall was a screen,
oh,
and it's showing trees and the word hydrogen. Uh-oh, wait a
oh,
minute. And then it was this very long, absolutely insane presentation about empty pop bottles used to become hydrogen to power cars. And boy, were we a little annoyed. We're like, what? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and it's never gonna happen. But Kia proposed, they showed a modular van. And I mean modular in every sense, racks on the inside, racks in the floor, make it longer, make it shorter, make it bigger. They've got 3, 4 different sizes, and everything is configurable Lego style. This could be an extension of that.
this is that, yeah, same company
Well,
basically.
we didn't see it this configurable. It still had a shell.
Ah, okay,
Uh, but this could be still an extension of that.
yeah,
And this part of the market is ripe for disruption. So much of deliveries is last mile. So much of deliveries is in city where you need quiet, you need efficient, you need regen, you need survivability in extreme stop and go situations like you
exactly.
see with the mail trucks getting in and out of the car all day.
Yes,
So this is ripe for disruption. There was some criticism I saw of the new Kia van saying, "Oh, great, they're entering a crowded space full of the ID Buzz and the Canoe." Well, there is no Canoe in the market, not yet.
right,
And the ID Buzz is one car and it's
yes,
70 grand.
yes,
That's not competition. That's that's a monopoly,
yeah,
really, in the minivan space.
and
Kia
even in
EV9
the
is
combustion space, for minivans, you've only got 3. You've got Kia, and then you've got Toyota and
Honda,
Honda.
Toyota.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Everybody else left.
I know because I had the 2016
Is
Nissan
Nissan still in it?
Quest. Nope, it
Okay, they're gone
was
too.
for a time the 3rd sexiest imported minivan,
Yeah.
uh, but that is a low bar. That is no bar. That
Yeah.
is, but yeah, this is a good space to be in.
Oh, and the Pacifica hybrid, which is
Pacifica
really plug-in. They're still there,
Pacifica
right?
is the only domestic minivan remaining,
Yeah.
which is
Started
which is
off,
weird.
you gotta stay in it.
Well, Aerostar was really the first.
Yeah,
And
they
Ford's been
left.
out of that game for a while.
Oh, well.
And I also had, a Chevy Venture, which
Yeah.
was great. It was
Very
great.
futuristic. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't that old of one. It was a much, much newer one. It was like a 2000 or 2002. Uh, great. I got it maybe 6, 7 years old for 3,500 bucks.
That's not bad at all.
Looked brand new. Yeah, and apart from a known problem with the head gasket, which mine did suffer, and then I was like, "You know what? I don't care." I bought another one just like it, which also lost a head gasket, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna actually have it fixed even though it's
Yeah.
extremely expensive," and that head gasket blew.
Oh, man. So even the
So,
new part didn't fix it.
no,
Oh,
no, a little bit of a problem there,
yeah, yeah.
but
So
what are
so
you gonna
on
do?
this one, there was, the chance that Nikola could get involved through the partnership Transitive Properties. They are partners with a company that's got this exact same van with the Kia Niro front, coming out
Hmm.
in Europe.
Um, if they're getting paid for it, they'd be crazy not to do it because revenue is something they struggle with.
I think that if they do that, they would sell well here because right now all the EV vans are of the largest sizes, and this fits that medium category quite well.
Well, did you hear about Nicola's latest infusion of cash? The settlement in the Trevor Milton case.
Oh, he owes them money?
he owes them like
Oh,
$100 million.
good gracious! You could do a lot with that. Does
You
he
could
have it?
Yes, because because he stole it. Of course he
I know
has.
he stole it, but I mean, does he still
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it?
Well, they're making him sell his house. The
Oh,
largest house in Utah, I believe.
yeah, that was right, 'cause that was the first thing he did was put all that money in the house, and then he
Yeah.
stole some more.
Yeah. I mean, we we've had breakfast, but what about second breakfast? Yeah. He's gotta get his elevensies in.
This is that'll help them, and I think that would solve some of the problems they've been having was really just liquidity.
Yeah.
In
One
addition to
thing
his
I'd like
lives.
to say real quick to anyone
Yeah,
watching is if you have a question that you would ask for at someone of National Drive Electric Week, if it's clever, if it's not clever, if you're afraid of how not clever you think it might be, if it's a question, ask us right now.
yeah. It's Drive Electric Week. We'll answer Drive Electric Week questions.
And other questions.
Yeah.
I'll
Like
answer deep
electric.
philosophical questions. Hmm. Mm,
Even some of those, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
So UrbanLink is committed to an additional 27 sea gliders from Regent Craft. So this is one of the ones that I was thinking of when we came across that ground effect company, which was really cool. And this one is just a seaplane, and what's wrong with that?
Sandy Monroe's had a chance to consult with some of these companies,
Yeah.
and they've got some really great things coming up that he was only to speak of in kind of vague terms. One of them, he found
Oh,
a company that has that has selected a battery chemistry that can only charge. I want to say so. It's not a very big battery. It can only do short hops, and it can charge 3,700 times
oh
in
wow.
its life cycle. But at 3,700, you will absolutely just decommission it. You won't baby it. You won't pamper it. You will decommission it. And I thought, wait a minute, that's 10 flights a day for 10 years.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. They're there. And that's that's it. That's perfect. That's what they need.
And they probably
Um,
decommissioned the airframe at that point too. So it's a perfect match.
well, I don't know. Normally, you wouldn't decommission an airframe, but these are brand new things. So probably just like the early days of steam, ocean liners, they would build these huge, $20 million boats, which at a time when that was like $1 billion, kind of.
Yeah.
Um, and then 10 years later, they would be decommissioned because the technology is so old. It's not cost effective to operate it any longer.
Right. And at that
Um,
time, powers weren't really a thing like we see today.
right. So this'll, yeah, if you can get all your money in well under 10 years, you're done. You got it.
Yep.
This is yours for the taking. I did get to interview a flight school in Vancouver that does flight that you can do flight training today in an electric airplane.
Awesome.
Uh, and the trick being, you need 40 hours of flight time to certify, and this only goes 45 minutes. So you're going to
It
be
takes a little
doing
while.
it's gonna take a little longer than you might expect to get your hours in.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take plane number 2 when you land here on runway 7, and we're gonna continue for the rest of the day. The rest of today's lesson anyway. So yeah, if you could get all your money in 10 years, or if the battery's gonna get cheaper and you can swap it easily, with just a maintenance schedule, that would be very profitable. Yes.
Yeah,
This
and
one still
batteries
looks
are
like
still
ground
getting
effect though.
cheaper. Well, the shape of the wings, yeah, it reminds me of that giant Russian Ekranoplane
Yes, the
that,
Agano plan. Yes. Uh, there was another one we looked at a couple weeks ago that it would get about 40, 50 feet in the air, but it's still ground effect. And people are like, what about the waves? I'm like, if the waves are hitting you at 40 or 50 feet in the air, it's not a very nice day to be flying.
you've got those are some swells, my friend.
Yes.
Well, and you wouldn't fly in extremely harsh weather.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I did that drive was just because I didn't want Tesla corporate to not realize that there was a hurricane and charge me for their car, uh, or for the chance of mine to get flooded. Thankfully, neither of those things happened, but I
I've
should
seen
not have
some
done it. Huh?
I've seen some footage
Yeah.
from the Eastern Seaboard, and it is pretty heartbreaking. pretty
It is.
devastating. Um, yeah, no words.
No words. Hopefully it's. I mean, it's bad, but hopefully there's less loss of life and such than what we are that it looks like, because it doesn't look good.
Mhm, mhm.
Mountain towns flooded out. So Rivian came out a little while ago with their answer to Sentry Mode with Gear Guard, and now they have a feature called Gear Guard Live Cam. And guess what? If you have a legacy Rivian truck, you still get this. Unlike us folks who spent enough to get 3 Model 3s and still don't have it.
Mm, hmm.
Have you
So,
have you have you sussed
that's
out any?
over-the-air updates on Rivian have brought their version of Sentry Mode to their app?
They have that, but now it also is live, like a live Sentry View.
When you say live, do you mean, like, live streaming? Like, I can look at your car's trail cam?
Or you would look at your car and say, "Oh, that's what that noise is outside. It's just a raccoon." Or, "Oh, hey, let me get my Glock."
Right, but you don't mean, like, what do you mean live? I mean, wasn't it
Like it's it's
oh,
it's
I
it's,
see.
it's,
It's
it's a
on your
live
app.
view, like
It's
in your
on your
Tesla.
phone.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah, yeah.
gotcha. Yeah,
Which is
haven't
good.
heard about that. I'm
Okay,
just impressed that the new players are doing things that the legacy guys can't seem to figure out,
right. Like they should have
like over
already
the
been
air.
done this.
Yeah. Well, the problem becomes, Casey, I'm Ford, I'm GM,
Yeah,
and when the next new innovation comes, it doesn't usually come from me. It usually comes from Magna or one of the suppliers who says, "Look, we've got
yes,
this new thing. You should add it to your car. Here's what it is." And you look at it, you go, "Well, that's a pretty good deal. Done. Add it." Well, the trick is now you're beholden to their software, their integration. And by the way, you just layered it on top of 30 other things from 30 other suppliers,
right,
none of which you designed. And
right.
so it makes it a nightmare to try and, it's somebody who installed every free plugin on their
Yes,
browser.
and they
Oops,
don't
all
all get
browser
along.
plugins. No, and you don't know which one's the issue, and they're and
And
which
you don't
one's
dare
this
update it.
particular. Oh, there was a problem in the early 2000s where there was some virus, some big global virus, computer virus, and Microsoft was one of the companies hardest hit. And they said, "Aren't don't you guys update your Windows?" And they said, "Well, our IT department decided that it would be easier to not." It's like, right, and you want us to update ours, guys, guys.
It's always a fun discussion with your rep.
Yeah,
uh,
because
have you heard from any of your contacts why this isn't happening on the legacy cars? Because the whole excuse about vertical screens makes no sense when the flipping screen's off.
right. I have not. I have not. I don't have very many connections inside Tesla, and none inside Tesla corporate. The people I know are in, like the factories. So, uh,
So whoever knows is keeping it really close to the vest, so we can't find out.
I imagine there's only a handful of people who actually do know the real answer
Yeah,
because there's just not the kind of support you would want on these older cars. I've heard that some of the older cars are getting FSD updates, which is
yeah,
shocking. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. The original MCU cars are getting F50 12.3.6, which is nice because some folks that's their first update in years, and for others that's their first update ever since
Oh
buying
no.
FSD. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And
And
it feels like something
12.3.6 is not great.
it's not great, but it's better than nothing, and it's better than 2 years ago.
11. Yeah.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. um,
Anything with an 11 in it was
yeah.
not
So
was
so there was an 11 that started to roll out. Something happened with it, and they just stopped. And so if you got it, you were lucky. You installed it, and you could use it. And then finally, you got an update or a version.
it wasn't 12.3.6 that was a problem. I apologize. It was anything 11. I was
Oh
on
yeah,
11 something for a long time
yeah.
and I unsubscribed.
Oh wow.
It does not work.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then
There's
when 12 started rolling out, I resubscribed and played the game of how long before I actually get 12?
right.
And it was a month. It was a
A
month.
month.
I
Not
spent,
bad.
a whole month waiting. But
Try 6 years.
yeah, but I bought the newest car, man.
Right.
You know, I bought
Well,
a
that's
brand
the
new.
thing that gets me though is you've got folks with a 2017 Model 3, they get the update to get this feature, and then you've got the folks that managed to get a 2021 um, Model S while the factory was shut down. Somehow they just popped one out with a vertical screen, like that guy who was complaining, the sports star, and so now you've got this, and you're being told that it's legacy. You don't get any of this stuff, even though it's newer than the car that just got it.
And more expensive.
Like I said, 3 times more expensive in some
Yeah.
cases.
Well, when was the refresh? Because the
2021,
they
the Palladium came out.
oh, okay. So if it was a refresh one, was it a refresh one that's not getting updates?
Well, some of those Palladium cars are still considered legacy, even though they've got the right orientation of screen, depending on what feature we're talking about, which is even more annoying. Because they
That's
raised the price back up to when they came out.
right,
They went
because
up
it
over target.
was 69,420.
Yeah,
Uh, but
and they
yeah,
went way
they're
up into the 3 figures, 6 figures again when the Plaid came
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, and so
mental.
they had told us that as they were trying to prep us to spend more money, they're like, hey, don't worry, the Model 3's got the same thing you've got. It's only that the MCU is remote with the FSD chip, and the screen is just a screen. While your FSD chip is remote, and the screen and the MCU are bound together.
Hmm.
And also, the liquid cooling, because even heat pump wasn't a thing back then. And they've got liquid cooled computers, and yours is air cooled, and a
Uh,
camera facing the driver that we're not
One
using.
word I would like to offer in consolation of other manufacturers who are having some trouble sometimes is these cars are difficult.
They are.
Any car is difficult. A new car is especially difficult. A lot of the bugs we're seeing with these other cars are things that Tesla had to work through 10 years ago,
Yes.
and they will get there. They will get through them. They just have to do it. Uh, and the beauty is, you do have some pretty great warranties on these vehicles from all manufacturers. And an additional consolation is that if GM is only selling 2%, 3% EVs,
Yeah,
if they had to recall and give you your money back on every last one of them, it would not kill them.
very true.
Where if someone like Fisker had a
Ooh.
recall that affected the entire fleet, well, they're gone.
Yeah, whatever's left of them is done.
Oh yeah, that happened. I remember now.
Right? Oh, wait, I missed some chats. Let's see what it says here. Took my family on a hayride. Oh, that's you. Okay.
Oh no, no. I was like, did you? Because I don't see
um,
them.
so yeah, I am complaining, but I'm not ungrateful for what the level of updates we've got on these cars would not have happened at all. Like with my 2012 volt to the 2013 volt, they had a live power meter that showed you what was happening with the electricity, and it was just a screen on the same display that was already there, just a piece of software, and there was no way you could get that for any price other than upgrade the car. And
Huh.
for features like mine had the 4 door smart key, the one before mine did not. But you have to put a radio and a button in each door handle. So I get that. But to add a screen that tracks where the electricity was going, the app already knew. It just wouldn't tell you where it was going, but you could see it live moving around, and the car knew what was going on. But you had to upgrade to the 2013 to get what I call the electronic tack.
So I'm going to say I disagree on the receiver for each handle. It only has to reach the ECU.
True, true.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
know what door you're at.
yeah, and there's a lot of validation that goes on between, even if something's possible, that
Yeah,
doesn't mean it can make sense to add it. And the
right.
legacy idea is all these improvements we got, guess what? Those are for next year.
That's right.
Those are your incentive to move up.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look back at what we've all got on our cars, even in just 1 year of updates, that just
Yeah,
doesn't happen in Legacy. Legacy is getting updates now, but they don't look like what we get on Rivian, Ford, Polestar, Lucid. Nothing like this.
right.
So as much as I complain about the non-transparency and the why, if everything is the same as they told us, why do I not have X Y Z? I still get more when it looked like they were done with Legacy. All of a sudden, we started to get updates to the way the map looks, and I was like, oh, that's more legible now. It tells you you're almost at the destination, and they're still working on it, but just know that
But they are working on it.
yeah, yeah. You bought something that they put on as a also ran. This is sprinkles. Uh, they say 3 and Y, and then they say other. So it's SX and Cybertruck. Cybertruck will probably get broke out again on its own eventually, but
And semi.
and semi, yeah, and semi.
Yeah.
But they're not interested in SNX. They're only doing it because the line is already running. It would cost them more to turn it off. So why not make some money?
That's what I said. Someone asked me, when are they going to stop it? And I said, why would they? They're already down to, the answer is the, when they can no longer run a shift.
Yeah.
If it's under 5 days of, if it's under 40 hours a week of production, it's gone. Uh, but until then, and what I think they could do is build the Roadster on that line, which
Yes.
would which would be, I mean, if I had put my money down on a Roadster, I'd be I'd be livid.
Oh
Oh, I'd
yes.
be livid. If
Much more than
because
the
if you'd
people
have
who
put that
finally got FSD.
because if you put that 250,000 into stock in
Yes.
2019, oh, millions, baby.
Billions. Oh man. So I don't think they could have a market for 2,000 or was it 2,000 or 4,000? I think it's 2,000 per line, right? On the
Well,
legacy line,
an extra one now are now one line,
but it's still two um,
2
physical
models.
lines, right?
Nope, it's one line. The
Oh, they
S
cut
and
one
X
out.
line is a single line.
Okay, because it used to be 2 tracks.
Right.
Uh,
When the 3 came around, they consolidated S and X into one line.
okay, so 2,000 a week. I don't know that you can sell that
It's
many roadsters.
No, but you would put it in the line with them. There are
Oh,
lines
oh, oh,
that I've
so
seen
before you
for
kill the SNX, you
yeah,
sprinkle the roaster in, and then if
yeah,
they still can't sell, you gotta come up with
yeah,
something else to fill the space. Okay.
and really even 1,000 a week would be enough, but
Yeah.
yeah, because you can find pictures um, of an Audi factory where they're making, like, 2 different Audis and a Volkswagen on the same line.
Yeah. Wow. And the Volt was the same way. It would come through, and then the Cadillac version of it would come through, and then they
Huh.
had, like, just, like, Equinox and just stuff that was unrelated,
Mhm.
and that wasn't as
Makes
flexible. Yeah.
it if that's the only way you can produce a low volume car, it's not the most efficient, but it can
Yeah.
work. I just wish these
Honda did it.
manufacturers
They do 30 batches, but they don't actually really do 30 batches. So they do 60 batches. And so you'd have 60 cars, all the same color, same equipment coming out the line. And so, yeah, if you could no longer do that, then they ended.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a little bit of an inefficiency. If you've ever seen the way Tesla works with the paint shop, the
yeah.
car gets painted and then it gets chucked up into the rafters where it sits around drying because it has to
Oh, wow.
cure for 24 to 48 hours. And then when the next VIN that hits the line says I need blue, it pulls blue. It
Ah,
gray, it pulls gray, and it doesn't matter when they were painted, so they can still paint them in batches and have them ready to go. And it looks like they move around up there like you would see in an Amazon warehouse with the robots. Uh, it's a pretty clever system.
versus, here's a fleet of them for no reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you'll notice when you watch footage of the outbound lots, you don't see 100 white ones and 100 red ones, and yeah, they're all mixed.
Yeah.
And when
Okay.
you watch them come out the door, they are whatever color it needed to be. And a lot of manufacturers do that now, but not all of them.
So this one got a little bit of controversy during the week is that the new R1s are coming with the NACS DC adapter included with the purchase. While
Oh, hmm,
while some
the
folks are still waiting for their adapters to arrive in the mail for free.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Well, annoying, but
The way
if
things work
that's
sometimes.
like that's like the one of the most first world problems I can think of.
It
Uh,
kinda is. Yeah,
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 it'll you guys will be fine.
yeah. I don't know what they can say to make this right, because it's kind of a logistics thing. It's like, "Hey, here's 1,000 adapters. There's 1,000 cars going out." And I'm sure that either either Tesla is fulfilling them directly to the customers, or, they're not coming in bulk like this to get mailed out to the customers. So
Well, I
these
can't
cars these
imagine. Yeah, Tesla's the only provider. Surely there are other companies that make certified
Yeah, there are.
eligible.
There are. But Ford and Rivian are only getting the Tesla ones, unlike GM, which is getting
Oh,
Tesla ones now, but also they're not saying
their
that's
own.
what you're gonna get. You could get an A to Z, you could get any number of things from them.
It's interesting to see the competency difference between Tesla and SpaceX.
Yes.
In order to become a SpaceX subscriber, you need to purchase SpaceX equipment.
Yes.
Did you see how many new subscribers they added between May and September?
A lot.
1,000,000. They went
Pretty
from
ridiculous.
3 to 4,000,000 since May
Yeah. And fulfilled them all.
and fulfilled them. These are active terminals.
Mhm.
You you made 1,000,000 terminals? You made 1,000,000 dishes?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's also these are coming from Giga Buffalo, so that adds
The
additional.
terminals?
No, not
Oh, the
the terminals.
NACs.
Yeah, the Nash
Right, the
adapters coming from
NACs
Giga
adapter.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Hmm. I
That
wasn't sure where they were coming from,
yeah.
but that
Yeah,
makes sense.
Tesla confirmed it. It's some little they threw it in there like, oh, thanks to the Giga Buffalo team. And like I said, if you got these things coming on trays and pallets, they are not set up individually boxed with your address on them, so these were never coming to you. Um, it sucks, but like Brian said, they're gonna eventually take care of you. It
Mhm,
just sucks that you gotta wait.
mhm.
This one we had on the list, but it was for later. The Chevy Blazer EV gets way better for 2025. You get more range and new models, including the SS version, is finally on sale for Q1 of 2025.
When you say more range, do you mean a larger battery?
Uh, More battery,
Because
more efficiency. They don't
more
say.
battery.
Probably
Yeah,
more battery.
it's
Or a
probably it's
thinner
GM.
buffer. Yeah, it's GM.
Oh, yeah. Now now with less buffer.
So now you can tear it up
Uh-huh.
faster. Starting at 61,995 for the SS. Finally.
Boy, it looks almost as good as a Honda Prologue.
It is a Honda Prologue. Or a
Honda
Honda
was so
Prologue
proud
this.
of it.
Yeah.
It was so proud of it. "W Look,
Yeah.
we've got an EV." No, you don't.
Right.
No, you
Right.
don't.
Not even close.
Uh,
They want this to compete with the EV6 GT and the Ioniq 5N. Which one's the one that makes all the noise? That's a different version of the Ioniq 5N, right?
the only one I know that makes all the noise is the Charger, but or
Oh, there's that one,
Challenger?
the Wake the Neighbors Loud, but
Oh, I
Kia
don't know.
Hyundai came out with one. I think it's the 5N. It's got yeah, because in this and in that and Enjoy. If
Uh,
it gets people in EVs,
that's the thing. There was a guy uh, at Cyberfest, the Florida Cyberfest, who had V8 noises coming out of his Model 3,
oh
and
man,
it was very good. It was very I mean, it sounded legit. Like, in my head, I didn't see what car it was coming from. I just heard it, and my
yeah,
brain went, "Uh-oh, someone's gonna start a grass fire."
grass fire.
You don't
I am
idle in grass. That's how you start a fire.
right. I am looking. I want to skip to this particular article, and I'm trying to
The
find it now.
There's a gentleman from a company that makes aftermarket, vroom vroom noises for your Tesla,
Yeah.
and he would like me to interview him, and I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do that yet because I'm not sure I get it.
Oh, gotcha. Um,
Oh, I was actually hoping for guidance on that one.
um, but just like Hyundai, if it's going to help more people do the EV thing, don't have to get it, and it's just a bonus that theirs doesn't have the wake the neighbors loud feature like the Dodge bunch of nostalgic names.
Yeah.
Charger, Deltona, Frestonius.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, I am looking for oh, there it is. I was only 2 articles off. So I'm gonna open up the next 2, that way I don't lose my place in the document. But we're gonna talk about a Fila.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to make a joke on that one. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
uh, too easy? I don't know.
it was way too easy. A Fila is a, joint venture between Honda and Sony to make EV.
Oh, god. Yeah, great.
So they joined the NACS.
They've been teasing it for so
Oh, they
long.
have. They totally have.
I don't know.
But they
Uh,
joined the NACS. But guess what?
Smart?
This is the first NACS outside of North America. This is in Japan because remember they've got a split grid,
Hmm.
so they've got a combo
Oh,
of
I
the
forgot
European,
about that.
yeah, and
I
then they've also
forgot
got
about
the North American, and they use the North American plugs all throughout. So I'm assuming that also all of their Teslas there use the Tesla plug, but everything else will use CCS or J1772.
Mhm. Hmm.
But I had proposed this question. I said, what are the Koreans and the Japanese going to do because they use our plugs? And now that we have NACS and none of them have jumped on board locally, are they going to continue to source J1772 and CCS1 as the price continues to? Because once the volume goes down, the price is going to just keep doing this.
I disagree. I think the tooling has been purchased. I assume you mean for the equipment, for
The
the parts.
For the parts for the charging and for the car, the inlet and the cables.
Yeah, those the tooling is done for those. The
Mhm.
marginal cost to continue production is going to go on for ages. It'll be fine. It's a question of convenience because Tesla makes cars with three
Yeah,
different ports native. They've
right.
got the Chinese cars, the European cars, well, the Chinese cars, US cars, and then the non North America cars, which would be the
The Type
CCS2.
2. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's easy. There was when I sold Broadcast Electronics, there was this VCR by Sharp that we sold. I don't remember what was special about it, but there was something goofy and stupid about it that made it irreplaceable. And so this thing had been out for 10, 15 years without an update. Everything gets updates. This one didn't, but it was still in the catalog, still in the catalog. And we would sell thousands and thousands of VCRs every quarter to schools and stations and whatever. And like two of these would you get an order. And then one day it disappeared from the catalog.
Oh,
And we asked the rep, what happened? Did you break the mold?
yes.
Yeah, we broke the mold and we're like, we're not retooling.
Right. So
But we just
basically what I
kept
was getting at with this was,
it just kept selling.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't
Eventually
know.
that will happen here because CCS1 and 2 aren't the same in any way
No,
other than the
no.
protocol.
Well, yes.
So if
Yeah.
you only Japan and North Korea are using this older plug, how
Hmm.
long till you break the mold?
So what are they using in Japan and North Korea presently?
J1772 and CCS1,
And they're the last place using CCS1.
other than whatever stragglers we have here in the States.
Wow. Oh yeah, okay. So that means the days are numbered.
Yeah,
Surely. They
yeah,
must be.
they are.
Hmm.
And so that's what Afila is announcing, that they are joining the NACS in Japan. So this is our
It
first
which is
outside.
yeah,
Hmm?
which is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, weird, but
Yeah.
also practical because that was my question the whole time. It's like, okay, they use our plug. What are they going to do? Are they going to change to CCS2? Because that doesn't make any sense. I mean,
How on
you
earth
can,
did you develop CCS2? It's so bulky and clunky, and it's not appreciably better in any way than a handle that a person doesn't need two hands to use.
right? It has one advantage over any of the North American stuff is that it's got the three phase, and in
Mm.
parts of Europe, you need
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
and I think that's why it was able to survive.
Mm.
Whereas ours had all the disadvantages, and then there was Nax, so it was easy to switch to Nax because
Yeah. Well, and
so
70-80% of cars use NACS.
exactly. So you already
So,
had the volume right there,
and
and
when Ford
finally
announced, I think you and I both said, "It's over."
it was done. Just how
Yeah.
long and who's next?
Yeah, we'll just play the waiting game, watch the dominoes fall. By the way, Casey, today's 29th. Do you think Tesla AI will achieve their final two objectives for the month? FSD on Cybertruck and full stack highway.
We'll have to get it out in public on at least two cars.
Two cars, I think everyone will agree does not count. Matt Wallace said two cars doesn't count unless one of them's mine.
I mean, customer cars. I don't.
Right.
We're talking
I think
2 days. I don't know.
we're talking
It's
a
not
day and a half.
impossible. It's not impossible, but it doesn't.
It doesn't look good.
but at the same time, we said, there was no auto park on Cybertruck, and my Legacy still had 12.3.6, and the team is way better at timelines than Elon is. So
Absolutely
I,
true.
I will say it was a stretch, but at least their stretch had milestones, and I'm not mad
Mm.
at them if we don't see Cybertruck FSD this month, and we see it like 3 weeks in the next month or 2 weeks in the next month, and
I do
but
I'm not I I don't have a Cybertruck. I'm fine. Uh,
highway stack would be nice for me because I do ride on the highway a hell of a lot.
but help me understand then. Why would I notice?
It would, because right now it's still running on basically version 11 tech with version 12 perception, and
Okay.
so then we would be because it's kind of like when City Streets first came out, uh, and you would hit those certain highways where the car didn't know that it wasn't City Street, and it's like this is so much better than that version of the highway stack.
Hmm.
And so I'm hoping that it'll be the same level of just improvement, like the way it responds and reacts. Because like right now, if you go to manually tell it to change lanes, like you see some jerk coming up way fast, and your jerk car wants to just stay in the passing lane. You're like, move. And it sits there and thinks about it. Thinks about it. Nah, maybe I'll do it. Nah, I'm not gonna do it.
So that's a 12.3.6 issue. 12.5.4 is what I'm on. Is great. On
I,
highways,
I
it's great.
I don't know because it was a freaking hurricane, so I don't know if it just couldn't see
I will
when I was
also
on the
tell you
highway.
that the thing that drives me insane is getting too far to the left when it's time to get off the highway.
I wish they would have solved it by
Yesterday,
now.
with 0.6 miles to my exit, it got from the middle lane into the passing lane.
Oh
I'm
no.
like, I'm like, let's ride it
At
out,
highway speed.
baby, at highway speeds. So we're talking, we've got 30 seconds to clear the car in front of me and get over 2 more lanes to exit. And 3 if you count the exit lane itself. This is hairy. And I
Yes.
I had one a week ago where I was in the wrong lane and I was like, I'm just going to ride this out. Let's see where we go. And it got over when it said 350 feet remain. I was like, what are you do? This is stressful.
Yes.
I'm sure you trained this on some drivers I've ridden with, but I don't like riding with them with their 3 phones.
Oh
Yeah.
man, my favorite is when it misses, and if you've got the voice on, and like it just sounds like there's actually tone recalculating. Uh, now
Don't
turn
you
right.
give me tone. Don't you give me you're the one who
I just
missed
want to
the
miss a turn.
turn.
Yeah, you
I
got
got
me.
a scenic view, a little interesting tour of some neighborhoods in Tacoma near the Tacoma Dome. I don't spend much time in Tacoma, and I was not aware of how bad those neighborhoods have gotten. But fortunately, I got an extended tour to check it out while it recalculated and got me to the car show.
Nice. My favorite though is when it recalculates another way when you've got the time delay feature turned on. So they decided we were going to the Savannah Service Center, and they decided that now in the middle of rush hour on a regular weekday, we're going to take out a huge chunk of the highway, and leave it down to one lane right before rush hour.
Smart.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
I saw these. I think it was in the Netherlands. They had like these bridges that they built, like this, like a military temporary scaffold bridge to get over, tactical. Uh, it went up enough that you could work, and it's strong enough to hold semis going over it. So they didn't have, other than the slowing to get up the ramp, they didn't have any like we have, like this down to one lane. Like,
Bonkers.
and so the car decided it was going to take me through the back roads. Like I'm coming up on what I know is the turn, but I'm now second guessing myself. Is this the turn? All right, we'll go that way. Let's see what it does. And now we're in the woods. I'm like, okay, that was definitely not the turn. But now it's too late to turn around, so I just let it do its thing, and it puts us back on the road. One exit up from where they had lifted the not just the road surface, but also the bed. There was like just it was dirt underneath, no rocks, no nothing. So I get why they were doing it. I don't get why they were doing it during rush hour. And it dropped us off right as the traffic is starting to get together and free up, and a couple of people saw us, so they didn't want us to merge back in, but we got in, and then boom, 70 miles an hour again. Uh, I like that part of navigation. I don't like when it's like, oh, you missed the turn. You were driving.
Please pay attention to the roadway. Buddy,
Yes.
I'm looking at the speed limit because you're going 5 under it. You pay
Yes.
attention to the roadway.
Yes. or
I will tell you, on 1254, I can now wear sunglasses and be hands-free,
nice.
and it does work.
I
It
love the
does
answer.
work.
Yeah. That alone is enough for me
Yeah,
to make questionable financial decisions to upgrade the car when it need
it's
not
funny.
be. Okay, so they said they were joining the NACS, and let's see if they are giving free adapters or how this is going to work. They're going to join the largest global network of 60,000 superchargers and growing. I don't think that number is fair. How many are in Japan? Because this car is not going to go to Korea. Um,
Mm. Mhm.
it's the only other place
Well,
you have
isn't
great
it?
superchargers.
Why not?
Well, I guess you
Why
could get
wouldn't
on a
this be
ferry
a
and go to Korea.
well, no,
Yeah.
but I mean, why wouldn't they sell it in Korea?
I mean, yeah, they would
Yep.
sell it there, but what I'm saying is the sale to the owner. Uh,
Oh,
they're not going to. They can. Yeah, you can put it on a ferry and ship it to the U.S., but you're not using all the superchargers if you're on an island like that. Hawaii would be a whole different story. Like
true,
you're talking
true.
Japan and Korea. That's it.
Hmm.
I don't think it's 60,000 unless they somehow have 60,000 handles there. I don't think so. But oh, there's another difference. The 150 kilowatt plus. Are they authorizing them for V2s and V1s?
I don't know.
Or is that because of their because in Japan they have a lower voltage, so it might just be that the 250s are 150 over there.
Yeah, maybe.
Hmm, that's interesting. All right, so they're gaining traction. Sony, Honda, they're committed. Well, they won't need adapters because they haven't sold this thing yet, have they? They're
Right.
shipping native.
Yeah,
So not only were they
native.
the first outside of North America, they're one of the first native.
Yeah.
That's smart. I thought it would be Ford. Pre-orders begin in the first half of 2020. Okay, so first half, Ford still has a chance to beat them to it. First half of 2025, with sales starting later that same year. Deliveries expected to start in spring of 2026 in the U.S. and Japan to follow. Wait, why is Japan following the U.S. when you're two Japanese companies? Interesting. Because when they all this time, like you said, it was late. They've been showing this thing forever. It was always Japan first, then us, right?
Right. I
So
think
when
so.
have they changed their mind, or is
I
it
don't know.
the port? Because it's a lot easier to test it over here than it is to test it over there.
Mhm.
Interesting. Right, so then, Valley can, if you're interested in an electric lawnmower, you can exchange your gas-powered lawnmower and take home a free still electric mower. You can reserve your mower here at valleycan.org/mower, or you can call 559 500 0246. This is for Saturday, November 2nd, 2024, from 8 a.m. to noon at the city of Shafter Public Works and Commerce Way, Shafter, California. So I guess I will put this back in the rotation for next week because y'all know I like to save you some money. And not only am I saving you money here, um, this is actually totally on mission, not just like, hey, it's 10,000 off a Model 3. Great. But this is, this the study that I showed you guys last, it said that a two stroke put out was it more than 40 Camrys in just
Oh,
exhaust.
sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then when you consider that most of the two strokes are leaf blowers or weed whackers, so now you've got the other particulates and VOCs that are coming up from the work that you're doing with the two stroke. A four stroke is a little better, like a lawnmower, or if you spend a little bit more and get a four stroke portable implement. Uh, this is you don't have to worry about pull starters. You don't have to worry about oil. You do want to take the battery out before you put it in the shed if you store this thing outside or the garage. Store the battery probably inside your like your mudroom area, like where you come in and take off your shoes if you don't wear shoes in the house, um, just to keep the temperatures reasonable. Because if it's 110 outside and you just got done cutting the grass and then you leave this battery that just finished working. It's not good for longevity, and we have seen a handful of fires from that. Uh, Read the manual; it'll say the same thing. Bring it inside after you're done using it, and then wait before charging it. You don't want to charge it in 110-degree weather. Wait till the sun goes down. Plug it in. But this is good. Wow, there need to be more programs like this. Like free. This is like the ultimate cash for clunkers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got this 20-year-old
but it's expensive.
turtle. Yes, they're expensive. Yes, mm. But it's good to
What's
see.
an expensive program to administer? I mean,
It totally is. All right, so I'm gonna add this to my bookmarks. I'm gonna retweet it now, and I'm gonna leave this one open so we can talk about it again. Maybe not next week, but a couple more times before November. Uh, Shell puts Norway blue hydrogen plant on hold over lack of demand. Who'd have guessed?
I appreciate your enthusiasm, but it's. I was explaining hydrogen power to my son yesterday,
Yeah,
and I said, so they take an electrical process to convert hydrogen,
water.
something other than water or hydrocarbons into hydrogen. I go, and then he goes, sounds like it takes a lot of power. I'm like, yeah,
Exactly.
it does. It does. I go, and then you know what they do? He goes, burn it. I go, no, no, no. They use a different process that recombines it with oxygen from the air, and the byproduct is electricity coming out. And he
Water.
goes, hey, right. Well,
Hot
yes.
water.
And he
Yeah.
goes, and he goes, that doesn't sound efficient either. I'm like,
Right.
okay, so a 14-year-old gets this off the top of his head, but
But it can't.
Toyota can't figure it out.
Right.
And the Hyundai, the dumb thing about the Hyundai presentation was they said, imagine this water bottles, empty water bottles, they're
Okay.
garbage. People
Okay.
throw them away. We take that and we break it back down into petroleum. And then we use that to fracture it and get the hydrogen out. And then we transport that and we put that into the car, which goes in, turns into electricity. And
Why
they're
don't
like,
you just burn
and
the
the best
petrol?
part is water bottles are free.
Yeah.
I'm like, water bottles are not free. You have to gather them. You have to clean them. They're not free.
Yeah.
That's more. I mean, what would happen is the bean counters would look at it and say, "Why don't we skip the trash part and just start with a barrel of oil, which is very cheap?" And then they would say, "Well, why wouldn't we start? Why start?" And they would just keep eliminating parts of it until they get back to, "We should just have an electric car."
'Cause, all you gotta do is look at a Sankey graph, and you can see that there's no point in this,
There's no
and
point.
oh, so Shell closed what, all of their California plants? Stations?
I
Most
believe it
of
was Shell. One of the companies closed all of them. I think there's only like 2 remaining
yeah,
of
so that
any
was Shell.
brand.
And I don't know why the people are still buying the Mirai after seeing that, especially when we're starting to hear the complaints in the news over there. Uh,
Well, I'll
so it
just charge it at home.
but it's not a plug-in hybrid,
No, that's what I mean is you
it's purely
can't
a hydrogen hybrid.
unless you have a hydrogen facility at home, you can't do it.
Right, I don't think they ever had it because, like, they had the Honda Fill for the
No, of
natural
course not.
gas, but they canceled that pretty
Right.
quick.
No,
Yeah,
I was being a smartass.
that's fine, it's fine. But it would be a little easier if these things were plug-in hybrids, because then you could plug in at home, and then when we would leave town, they only need these on the highway, but they didn't do it that way.
There's no
So
hydrogen stations on the highway?
in California,
No.
I
Well, I
have
mean,
to
there's none. They're all
well, not
gone,
now, yeah.
so
But,
yeah.
so it would make sense that Shell would also cancel their Norway plan. It even makes it more kind of a like your son, they looked at this and they said, "Why do we want this? It doesn't make why we don't need this."
Yeah.
Because remember, Norway is leading the way in EV deployments in the world.
Mhm.
So they looked at this, they said, "That's stupid." And it makes sense that they would go this way. But the hydrogen plant nearest me is the one in Colombia. It opened before I went on the hydrogen tour, where they were touring the country, and I got to drive a bunch of different hydrogen cars. I got to fill it up, and apparently that thing opened up like a week or a couple days before the tour arrived, and was never used again. So it shut down. Uh, Practically, it shut down the day the tour left town, but it shut down sometime. They called it 7 years ago, 8 years ago. No, 15 years ago. Yeah, so it shut down 15 years ago, and now they're talking about opening it up again. As of this past summer, they're going to open up the Columbia station as a technology demonstrator. So even if you found a way to get a Mariah over here, you couldn't go gas it up. You'd have to uh, make an appointment and have a technology demo, and then you're stuck around Columbia.
Those pieces of equipment, require routine maintenance. You can't just shut them off for 15 years and safely turn them back on.
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so by the way, I do have to take off in about
Okay,
at
yeah,
1 at in 2 minutes. So
in 2 minutes?
I do
Okay.
wanna thank you
Tell us some
for,
stuff. And thank you for having
ha
coming.
t yeah, yeah. I appreciate, hanging out with Casey, being a Casey and friend.
And friends.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of updates on mine, there's nothing really too exciting to talk about. There's an outside chance I'll be going to TeslaCon in Malaysia in February,
Neat.
but I'm trying to find sponsors for that because it's too expensive and they don't have a budget for it. Uh, and yeah, I'll be going to Vegas, at the end of October for the big light show that will be held in St. George, Utah, just a mere 105 minutes away. So that's convenient.
Well, supercharged.
Uh, yeah, well, it looked like they were trying to get a very specific location in Vegas,
Ah,
and the fee that the location decided at the last minute they were going to charge was astronomical. Um, so not not cool, guys.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
that'll be fun. And then I don't think I have anything else coming up for the year. I'm not planning to go down for 1010. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, just go down, you never know." I've been to every event for years, and sometimes you do know. And
Yeah,
I can get better information from the studio than I can from a noisy bar where people are watching it.
yeah,
Um, and this is a job, so I have to have good coverage. Um,
exactly.
if I do get in on that referral lottery ticket,
That's different than you're in the room.
then I'm in the room. I'm in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, not planning on heading down. What else is going on? I don't know. It's that time of year. Our house is Halloweened out.
There you go.
The the Longview subreddit saw somebody posted saying, "Whoever has way too many decorations by the lake, you're awesome." And I was like,
That's you.
"Yeah, that's me."
Yeah.
So it's and we're just getting started. We don't do all the decorations at once. We're not crazy, Casey,
You
and
gotta roll them
we're
out.
not so we're not so lazy that we could actually get them all done in a day. We have too many.
Oh, man. I missed Ocala because of my car, being all broke
Mm.
down.
Well, maybe I believe the event will happen again next year, so
Okay,
you will have a second opportunity. We had
appreciate it.
some great speakers out there. We had at one point one of our volunteers counted 104 Cybertrucks on site at
Gracious.
once.
Wow.
We had 78 in the light show. It was pretty magical. It was great.
Better look at
Uh,
you.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It went by so quick. Um, Yeah, and we really pulled it together at the last minute. The day before, Drake said, I think we should live stream it. Can we do that?" I said, "Well, let's go out and look at the location, and I'll see what kind of cabling I might need, what kind of setup we'll need. We'll need a Starlink and all that." And we get out there because I wanna see, like I need to see the tent,
Yes.
I need to see where the lay of the land, and we get out there, and there is nothing set up.
Oh, wow.
Not
I
not
still
one thing.
suspect that the live streaming would be easier than the logistics on getting all the flash drives and programming out there.
Yeah, but that's not my part. I don't
No,
do that.
so you
That's
gotta
not
bring
my
that,
part of
yeah.
the Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Uh
bring a battery, a laptop, and a Starlink.
Right, but I wasn't told about it until I was there.
Well,
So
yeah, the
there
batteries are
would
heavy.
still
You
be
gotta bring
some
them ahead of time.
there'd still be some running around. I could
Yeah.
get it done, but, um, the tent itself didn't go up until an hour before the doors opened.
Oh,
So, I was like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that."
record it, and we'll do it later.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so it went, great, and, yeah. So, I appreciate having me on.
Appreciate you coming.
Will talk to you soon.
All right, we'll catch you on the flip side, and we've got a couple more stories, and then we will also be off air as well. So
All right.
see you soon. Thank you. All right, so we talked about Afila. We talked about this hydrogen situation, which is humorous. Let's load up some more stuff. Um, ah, we were just talking about Starlink. Starlink predicts huge growth for printed circuit board production in Texas, where they're already the largest printed circuit board manufacturer in North America at the moment, and they see it going further. So Gwen Shotwell says that she's the CEO of SpaceX. What did she say? She made the comment to the Texas House of Representatives earlier this week while discussing SpaceX's new facility in Bastrop, which opened in December. She said that Bastrop will be the largest printed circuit board manufacturing facility in the entire United States, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to beat Southeast Asia in efficiency of producing those printed circuit boards. So, one, as Brian said, that growth of Starlink is just incredible. And then two, if they ever had any sort of downtime here for compatible stuff, they could they could do other people's boards as well and make money on that. It'll probably be a while before they have any downtime of their own, but a million Starlink standard kits since opening in 10 months. That's incredible. Uh, got a Tesserati status. Yeah, after this, I lost the ability to know what these tweets are about ahead of time. So Revel has bought brand new fast charging station for EVs to Manhattan, and they really do need it there because oof, last time I tried to charge in New York, it was a little mess. Honestly a mess. I think I didn't use any of the paid parking garages to supercharge. I ended up Microsoft paid for my hotel, and then I paid for parking, and they offered to charge me for like $40 in the parking garage, and I opted not to do that. I just supercharged on the way out of town. Oof. I don't know why the picture. Oh, there it is. I was say I don't know why the picture's not loading. Let's see more about their new facility, and while that loads up, we will. I've got one from the Tesla Live. Watch the Tesla Live show live on Wednesdays, and catch the Tesla Live Express tomorrow. Or yeah, tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the premiere. The Tesla Model Y has surpassed the Nissan Leaf as the best-selling EV of all time. Talk about tortoise and the hare. Nissan Leaf came out of the gate sprinting, and in the states they held that for quite a while, and in Norway now they just lost it to the Model Y. That's incredible. Records tracked from 2011 shows the all-electric crossover has finally worked past one of the first EVs offered. The Model Y has sold 59,775 vehicles since it was offered first in Norway, surpassing the Nissan Leaf, which hit 58,860 as of September. I guess it probably is still selling better in Europe than it's selling here, just because the ranges. That's just pure speculation on my part. The Model 3 with only 14,950 from second place will pass the Leaf in a few years. Easily, Nissan's left their Leaf to dry rot. Yeah, so they extended it one more year from where it was already supposed to be canceled, and it will probably make a comeback as a whole different vehicle sometime in the near future. Right, so we will close that, open up the Revel, and Revel opened this at Manhattan Pier 36 on the Lower East Side. This looks familiar. Is it near the museum? Because if it's near the museum, then I think I parked here for the Rivian event. There were no charges there at the time. Uh, Big challenge with EV ownership in New York is access to public chargers. Yes. Pier 36 charging station. I want to see it on a map. New York City Taxi Limousine Commission issued 10,000 licenses for them. Why they didn't go with Tesla chargers? Cheaper, more reliable, and easier to use. Corruption and bribery. Went back a few years, was denied a license to operate a Tesla ride-hailing service. By surprise, the New York Taxi and Limousine Commission, which overturned the rule for EVs, limited competition. I'm gonna stay on that one. All right. Where? Pier 36. I guess let's go to Queens and Brooklyn. Let's go to Pier 36. Yes. This is familiar. So now I want a car museum near here. Water Street, Cherry Street, Sport Museum. American India. Pier 17. All right, so let's do Manhattan Auto Museum. There was a classic car club. All right, so I was on the other side of the island from where they were, and that's why it looks so familiar. I was on Pier 76, and it rained, and I was parked under the bridge, but on the other side. Anyway, that was just trivia. It doesn't matter. That Rivian event was quite fun, and for the Microsoft event, I was not on Manhattan. Electric vehicles had a brief resurgence in the 1960s. So this is a series feature that Inside EVs is doing that I think might be kind of fun to look at. They're talking about what had been. So let's it looks like the Electro Bear, and let's paste that in there, and paste it in on the chat on X so you can see it there. And let's also put in it's not sending on X. Let me type some more, but it's not sending. I can't type it all on X anymore. Let's click out of it, click back in it, click into the streaming software, click back into it. I'm still moving, so I didn't crash it. Oh, I can pop out the chat, so I don't have to keep the video rolling the whole time. That's kind of cool. So if I paste this, can I send it? I can. There we go. We got XChat, and then drive electric. Not work. All right, so we got both of them in the XChat, and our friends at Polestar, they want more cars on their North American lots faster. Customers don't want to wait 4 or 5 weeks, and Polestar knows that. At the same time, that's kind of, Tesla has been that way since the beginning. If you want to order, it's going to take about 4 or 5 weeks at a minimum before it shows up at your door, and usually 6 to 12. It's just the way it is. But if they can do it faster, more power to them. Where'd my notes go? Here, here, and the largest solar panel maker makes its $1 billion Alabama factory debut. So here in Alabama, you've got $1.1 billion fully vertically integrated thin film solar factory in Lawrence County, adding 3.5 gigawatts of fully vertically integrated nameplate solar manufacturing capacity to the U.S. And it's expected to create 800 jobs, and was first announced in November of 22, following the passing of the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. So as we talked about earlier, it is just adding and adding and adding to the economy and doing the right thing, pushing us to electric off of our fossil fuels and clean air for all, cheap energy for all. Awesome. This means it can turn a sheet of glass into a functional solar panel in about 4 hours, relying on heavily on U.S. source materials like glass and steel, the latter which has been sourced within a 25-mile radius for the new factory. It's pretty cool. You've got almost 11 gigawatts in their Ohio factory, and globally, in the U.S. there are 11, including their Ohio factories, and 21 global. Pretty cool stuff. Kia opens its first EV only plant in a bid to low cost EV3 for production vehicles. Take a look at that. Um, and I'm not going to go over the electric RV again. I just want to see another take on it on my own. GM has launched the online configurator for its all-electric Cadillac Escalade IQ. Production starts in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, but I count that probably will happen. The actual 2 weeks. Starting price is $130,000, going all the way up to $171,000, with a range of 460 miles. I'd want that at that price. Get a 215 kilowatt hour battery, so the same as the pickup trucks and the Hummer. You can charge at the Tesla supercharging network. So that they put that bullet point in there is they're suggesting that it's NACS native, but from what we saw at the auto show on the either the production intent or the prototype or whatever they had off showing us, it had CCS1 in the port, but the port was in the right place. Up to 350 kilowatts fast charging, so it's definitely the full Ultium in there. The question is what plug is on it, because if it comes with an adapter or comes with the ability to buy the adapter, then that Tesla charging point is just a weird one to put in there. But if it's got the NACS port, that's awesome. It's a massive 224.3 inches long. It's 2 feet longer than a Model X. Oh, good gracious. 1 foot longer than the standard gas Escalade. Oh, wow. And 0.5 longer than Cybertruck. Half a foot longer than Cybertruck. No, half an inch longer than Cybertruck. Interesting. 55 inch pillar to pillar screen. So you got a 55-inch by the diagonal screen across the A pillar to A pillar. I guess it could be 55 this way as well, because you're allowed 72 inches. But the way we measure screens is at the diagonal. Up to 40 speakers. Up to. Just at that price, just give me all the speakers. 8,000 pounds of towing, so a little bit better than X. 0 to 60 in somewhere under 5 seconds. Still impressive considering how big and heavy this thing is. 750 horsepower, so lower than an X. 4-wheel steering. So I take it that they did what they always do with the Escalade and took a truck, threw it up the truck, and then popped in uh, the SUV. Well, this is probably body on frame. And there's the configurator now if you wanted one and had the cash. Ethan said we may have found our new 3-row SUV. Excuse me. Sawyer says it certainly has enough space. Is it steer by wire? The rear is steer by wire. The front, who knows? Sawyer says no. 48-volt architecture? Most do not care about the 48-volt architecture. That's true. Most do not know about the technologies in their vehicles. They can still benefit from it. Good point. How much does that mother weigh? 8,800 pounds. Whew, empty. Bridge buster. Yeah, that brings up a good point. You need to run around New York or certain rural places in the States. You're going to have to know your weight and mind it. There are bridges that you are not able to cross, like the Brooklyn Bridge. My Model X is too heavy for the Brooklyn Bridge, uh, and this is heavier than my Model X. I'll produce 10 a month at $250,000 loss, maybe. Oh no, come back. Excuse me. Looks like a Telluride. It's bigger than a Telluride though. Uh, so that's the RV. That's Kia. Yeah, the Kia plant we wanted to look at. Kia officially opens its first EV-only plant to build low-cost EV3 and EV4 electric vehicles. I don't think they're on sale yet. It's called the Evo plant, and it looks to establish itself as a leading market EV maker in the market. I think they're doing a good job. I think they are. New facility will kick off a new era for Kia with the capacity to build 150,000 EVs annually. Not bad. The Evo plant is the Hyundai Motor Group's first EV-only plant. Kia held the completion ceremony on Friday at Autoland Gwangyang in South Korea. I was really hoping this would be like the one in the States there, but I guess it's not. The completion of the plant marks the first step for Kia to become a leading electric vehicle brand, says their CEO, Jun Young, Choi Jun Young, said at the event. Kia will use the facility to boost the output of its next-gen vehicles. Congrats to them. And getting to the home stretch there. We got some more Drive Tesla. And whatever this is. And that. Appeals court orders Tesla to pay compensation for manipulating the Model S charging speed in Norway. And so while all this was going on, my Model X stopped charging over 120 kilowatts. And then magically, when all this went down, my Model X started coming back up in speed. I'm not saying they're related, but it sure happened at the same time and was annoying. The case stemmed from a 2019 software update that some Model S owners alleged throttled charging speeds. And the appeal court in Norway has ordered Tesla to pay 50,000 kroner to 4 Model S owners. And the company landed in legal trouble after a 2019 software update reduced the performance car's charging speed. The total sum paid out by Tesla could rise as there are 118 aggrieved owners, and other Model S owners who received the update could also be potential receivers of the compensation. So that's what's going on there. And I'm curious if you also had a slowdown in your legacy Tesla during that time with supercharging. So bidirectional charging may be required on EVs soon due to a new California law. We'll look into that. And who had Asheville, North Carolina as a Hurricane Helene's biggest victim? It is 2,200 feet above sea level. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains, has 240 miles to the closest coast. in neighboring South Carolina. We're talking 4 hours minimum to the coast by drive, and we're talking American driving, not that 60 kilometers an hour stuff or 100 kilometers an hour stuff. Talking 70, 80 miles an hour, easy. And they're currently cut off from traffic, surface traffic via the interstate. And here are all the road closures, mostly washouts and water. And I shared this rainfall protection map with some friends when the hurricane was still over the Gulf, and circled Western North Carolina because it forecast over 15 inches of rain there. This person is retired executive recruiter, photographer, tree hugger, proud dad. Let's look into it. Like combined arms fighting force, Helene brings variety of means to destroy as its target. Heavy rain, storm surges, brutal winds. There were some even tornadoes. But looking at projected rainfalls for this storm, it's amazing that the most rainfall may occur way north in western North Carolina. That yellow represents over 15 inches of rain right there, circled. And then Florida, I mean, this part of Florida is not used to it, but Florida as a whole is used to hurricanes. That's unprecedented. Let's go back. And then, yes, you definitely called it. I do wonder why so little coverage prep for inland and sea, though, with maps like that. It's probably the amount of time to work with, and that they just were unprepared for what could happen. Who would have seen it coming? Oh, those who voted against climate change measures. So far, thanks goodness, the dams have held, but spillover meant evacuation orders. Ground already saturated, rivers rising equals nowhere for new Helene rain to go. Definitely going to see more and more of these extreme weather events, expose poor planning and weak infrastructure, and that's really why I'm sharing this. We talked about it and we expressed our sympathies to these folks. Whether or not you believe that we contribute to it uh, doesn't mean that we should not try, not should should avoid trying to not make it worse. At the same time, you're gonna need to get your preps ready because we're having more and more of these once in a lifetime, once every 100 year, etc., just unprecedented weather events all year round, month after month, day after day, and they're going to continue. And we need to be ready. The other reason I wanted to share this particular thread was somebody had a solid donation situation going on, but you can use whoever you already use. Mountains of North Carolina always gets their butt handed to them with Gulf hurricanes, but this is excessive. All right, so the one I wanted to share is gone, or in another thread. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think that the political nature is why I got those similar. Rather than it being about rain or electric cars, it was what they felt was appropriate. Bidirectional charging may soon be required on EV soon due to new California law. This will be exciting, as long as it's bidirectional to my house and doesn't require bidirectional to the grid. Now, if we give me the option, I might use that sometimes. Grid resiliency levers. Gavin Newsom followed up with earlier smart grid law and signed into another law this week, which may require bidirectional charging on EVs in the future, though the law has had no hard timeline attached, so it may be a while before we see this happen. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that then. We also saw a tweet from Tesla Energy or Tesla Cybertruck or Tesla Megapack. One of them had tweeted of Cybertruck charging a Megapack for whatever reason. You would think it'd go the other way around. Yeah, that may be in here. No, it's not. I don't see any more from Tesla. Florida Keys. Florida is currently ranked the second state in the nation with the most EV registrations, Other states have posted guides about this problem. Maybe we should too. And they're kind of generic, but they work. It says know your evacuation route. Maintain your battery at 100% state of charge if you plan on evacuating in an EV. Understand your vehicle's range and ensure you can safely reach your destination. Avoid relying on charging stations along the evacuation route as they may experience long lines or power outages. Yep. Mhm. I've evacuated several times with an EV, and if you're getting out early, it's pretty easy to manage. If you're getting out late, yeah, you don't want to need every charging station on the way. Keep an eye on your apps that say how congested they are. Never drive through floodwater. Water infiltrating into the high voltage battery of an electric vehicle can do damage, heightening the risk of a fire. Such fires erupt instantaneously or manifest in days or weeks or even months. Excuse me, after exposure to water. This situation here, you're looking at usually salt water. So while it may be okay to get a little splash of fresh water, uh, salt water getting into the battery casing is not good. Leaving electric vehicles behind. Never park EVs in the garage in flood-prone areas. Yeah, yeah. Do not leave electric vehicles plugged into a charger. I don't know about that one, but it makes sense to not have it trying to charge while it's flooded. And I'd say yeah, that one's probably fine too. Always ensure they're parked at least 50 feet away from any structure or other vehicles. Again, yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. And exposure to storm surge can damage the battery, leading to a fire risk. When leaving an EV behind, maintain the battery at less than 30% state of charge. So yeah, if you know you're not going to take it with you, let it deplete a little bit. Not California. Um, California, I would hope would be number one. So yeah, uh, hopefully not California. Yeah. There's also Georgia and Texas are unexpected as well. Ooh, pizza. Got some za. Thank you. And let's see. Never attempt to drive or charge an electric vehicle that has been submerged in floodwaters. Yeah, you want to get that thing checked out by the service center. Make sure it's safe before you uh, try to deal with it. And if it's been flooded and like you can see like a flood line, you might as well just call your insurance company and just get ready to get a new one. If they say it's only worth whatever you've got in your pockets, then you can say, all right, total it, buy it back from them, and then call up your manufacturer and get a new battery. But first, as we saw with the Hyundai's last year with Canada, make sure they've got them in stock. That way you don't have a car with no battery and no battery to put in it. They've got general lithium-ion battery safety, so all that stuff they said to the car. Same thing for your portable power packs, your lawnmower, your um, not portable power packs, your home backup systems. For instance, the Powerwall 3 is safe up to a meter of submersion, but some of the others are not rated at all for immersion. I think there's going to be a video above this. Prompted that? Yes. So this is from Pinellas County, and the vehicles that have been flooded in salt water can catch fire. If you are evacuated and left an electric vehicle or golf cart, so this guy's got two vehicles that can catch fire, his golf cart and his Tesla, um, in your garage or under a building, you're not able to move it, we want to let you know. Uh, the only critique I had of this is that the water level seemed lower than what you would expect to cause something like this. Like it unless it's an optical illusion from the angle of the camera, it's um, lower then the water should be able to get in. But like I said, it could be an optical illusion, or it could be that the floor is like extra dirty and murky, but the top level is really clear. That can happen when you've got that kind of flood waters that get slowed down by something like the garage door and such. Let's look out the rest of the thread that wasn't all there before. So yeah, his golf cart would have been doing this eventually anyway, unless it's gas. Please contact our county information center at this number and give them your address so we can share it with local fire departments. That's kind of cool. Oh, so this is not news. This is the county itself, and so yeah, so your fire department can know uh, that your home about to burn up. Uh, Pinellas County. It's also worth mentioning comparative risk. The risk of a fire in an EV after saltwater immersion, while notable, does not necessarily mean that they will catch fire at a higher rate than internal combustion engines, which, in similar conditions, when considering, basically he's saying that they also catch fire, and they do, um, and they do just like every other situation with a combustion car, they catch fire more than an EV. So you don't really want anything parked in your garage during a flood event. Let's see. Internal combustion that catch fire. General fire risk. Any vehicle, electric or not, has some risk of fire when subjected to extreme conditions, like submersion in salt water, due to the potential for electrical shorts, fuel leaks, or other ignition sources. Preventative measures, manufacturers, and safety guidelines recommend not driving EVs through deep water, and if an EV has been in salt water, it is advised to have it inspected and possibly treated to prevent corrosion and electrical issues. And contrary to the misguided popular belief, electric cars uh, are the least likely to catch fire of any type of car. This is true. And for some reason, hybrids are the most likely to catch fire. I guess because whatever causes an EV or gas to catch fire, you got them both in the same car, perhaps. Um, I'm a big EV fan, but this is not fair data. Uh, this always comes up. These people saying, "Oh, well, EVs are new." EVs are not new. Uh, 2008. We have enough data now to match up with as long as normal people keep cars. Normal people keep a car anywhere from 3 to 12 years. 2008 is more than 12 years away for the modern EV. Lithium ion, computer control boards, that sort of thing. Versus, like the 90s, there was analog computers. And then in the early 1900s, the EVs were dominant, but that doesn't really count anymore. Uh, Why hybrid? You get them both. So you're basing your data on a few EVs on hundreds of emissions, hundreds of millions of gas cars. Uh, I don't know if he did his own math or if he used somebody else's math, but most of the places I've seen that do the math, they do it rigorously. And to try and pick it apart on those little bitty details is not good faith arguments, basically. All right, that's Pinellas County. Then we've got just a handful more. These ones by Tesla North. These ones I probably should have put further up. If you've got a Model Y and you just got a new update, that doesn't include FSD version 12.5.4. Your update on the Model Y only, for some reason, has disabled your 12-volt outlet in the rear and the console, unless you are with the driver's butt in the seat and the screen on, or you're in camp mode. The previous method of having the car just in some sort of awake, either with Sentry mode or any of the climate modes, except for cabin overheat protection. Uh, they no longer work. If you're not butt in the seat or in camp mode, the car is going to turn off your 12-volt outlets after a little while. Only on Model Y. Model 3, not affected, even on the same version. We don't know why. I say only on Model 3, Model Y. It's any non-legacy that's not a Model 3. So the new S and X do it, and the Model Y does it. But the Model 3 doesn't. And any legacy cars like mine, they don't do it. So I guess the truly legacy is the ones that can't have Sentry mode. They probably had a different trick to keep 12 volt on, but mine, Sentry mode on, 12 volt stays alive, that sort of thing. And this is coming in software update 2024.32.3, and it's changed the functionality of the 12 volt outlets in Model Y, impacting owners who rely on these outlets for features like accessory coolers or as an example, they gave accessory coolers. Previously, the 12 volt outlets in the trunk and center console remained active when the car was parked, with Sentry mode, dog mode, or climate control turned on. However, with the new update, these outlets now only function when the driver is in the seat or when camp mode is enabled. The updated manual explains that the power is only available when the vehicle detects a user in the driver's seat or when there's interaction with the touchscreen. This means that many accessories placed in the trunk, such as coolers, will no longer stay powered when Sentry mode is active and the car is unoccupied. He just says bummer. The manual further advises against using non-Tesla accessories in the 12-volt outlets because Tesla makes so many 12-volt accessories. Stupid. It's probably just the generic that every car maker has, and it was probably already in there. As they may interfere with the vehicle's electronics. They do make some. They've got the tire pump and that sort of thing. But that's poo-poo advice, Tesla. As they may interfere with the vehicle's electronics. That sounds like a you problem. Tesla recommends unplugging any third-party accessories if the users notice malfunction. Well, that makes sense. If you notice malfunctions or unexpected behaviors like indicator lights or overheating. Yeah, but that's just either a weak connection or a bad 12-volt device. For owners accustomed to keeping items like food and beverages cool while parked in the summer, during the summer, this change may present a new challenge to managing the power of their accessories. I suspect this also affects Cybertruck. They didn't call it out. But Cybertruck also has a separate mode where you can turn back on your outlets, at least the AC ones, but probably also the USB-Cs, because it doesn't have a 12-volt system at all. This change may present a new challenge in managing power accessories. Tesla North readers recently noticed this change, and we can confirm that this is the case, as we realized our cooler hadn't stayed on after coming back to a parked car that had Sentry on. Let's hope Tesla will change this back in the future update. That or give us an option, just like on the screen. Here's an option. Do you want this on or off? Or, just like on the Cybertruck, hey, turn my outlets on for 6 hours or 9 hours, whatever it says. I want the outlets on for a minute. Interestingly enough, the same software update for 2024 Model 3 does not limit usage to having a driver in the seat or touchscreen in use. For Model 3, the Tesla says power is available when the car is considered awake, meaning features such as summon, cabin overheat protection, keep climate on, dog mode, camp mode, Sentry mode, etc. The 12 volts on. Tesla says the Model 3 is also awake whenever the low voltage battery is being charged or is in use. That's interesting. Because it does charge it a couple times a day, even if you have everything else turned off. Or when the vehicle is communicating with the mobile app, etc. So mobile Model 3 is about to find itself in Legacy Land. Join us. um, and some of you older, not older, but the older Model 3s in the fleet, some of them have already started to experience some of the legaciness. And I'm not saying I wish that on anybody, but I'm salty. Join me in saltiness. Tesla also points out that leaving an accessory plugged in does not deplete the low voltage battery. It does, but then the low voltage battery is topped off by the DC to DC. Just like I said, the water doesn't speed up the individual's charging. It does. For the 2021 Plus Model S and X, Tesla also says it requires a driver in the seat or touchscreen in use for these sockets to be powered on. No word about Cybertruck. let's get back to their post. Did you recently notice your cooler in the Model Y's frunk wasn't staying? Sorry, trunk. I was about to say you don't have an outlet in your frunk. Wasn't staying on with entry or dog mode because of an update. Starlink changed the game. Governments need to pay attention during blackouts for first responders. It's a good idea. It's a darn shame there's not a lithium-ion battery powering it. It's a big old generator, but hey, whatever. Even NC's state police aren't able to connect to cellular networks, so they're using Starlinks for now. All right, so NC is a total blackout zone, so we set up 2 Starlink stations for public use. Oh wow, that's nice. They're sharing it. Even NC State Police can't connect to cellular, so they're using Starlinks now. Spot 1 is the DoubleTree Hilton downtown at 199 Haywood. That's the supercharger. It's the one I always say looks like a funeral home and smells like one. Uh, the DoubleTree downtown Hilton, 199 Haywood. SSID is Sortor Starlink. I think that's a supercharger. I'll have to check it. Uh, no, that's Fayetteville. I'm thinking of. I'm sorry, that's Fayetteville. So the one in Asheville is not that one. That's not. So I don't. You look it up. Spot 2, Asheville Shelter in Ferguson Building, 340 Victoria Road. SSID is Hall Starlink. Password is NC Strong for both of those. Spread this for anyone in the affected area. It's been days since anyone's been able to connect to cellular. So they can contact their families, let them know they're alive. There was a story I was reading of a young lady. She was on with her sister. She was on with her sister, and her sister had their dad and her son and one other person on the roof. They had managed to get out and get up before the floodwaters got there. And she still had signal, and she was reaching out to her sister to try and coordinate some help with them, trying to get an aid organization to send somebody in some kind of boat or inflatable or something. And the roof collapsed, and one of the people got stuck in the what was left of the roof, and the other drowned. And the sister, she made it. The rescue reached her, and so now the family is dealing with that. And she showed her sister's last Facebook feeds while she still had a full connection, and it's kind of like, oh, we're having a picnic. Let's wait until somebody's able to rescue us. And so you've got feet, and they're looking out over everything else is flooded, looking at the roof of the next building over, seeing the trucks that are just bobbing in the water, big van trucks, like you know, local delivery trucks, moving vans, and they have that call with her sister. What's up, Timothy? It's good to see you. Yeah, so and these folks they need help. Update: over 200 people have connected to our Starlinks here in Nashville in the past 2.5 hours, and it's still the only way we're able to connect to the outside world. Word is spreading, so I'm sure that number is going to skyrocket. So yeah, don't forget about these folks. And so here you've got them with 0 bars and Wi-Fi, and if you've got Wi-Fi calling, um, that can help to let the families know, hey, we're here. Here's our status. Obviously, it won't be great, but as I was talking about with Brian, hopefully the loss of life is minimal. There's going to be total destruction in regards to property. Uh, hopefully, hopefully it's not too bad. I mean, it's going to be substantial, but hopefully some of it's salvageable. I can't imagine having to watch your family go like that, or worse, being on the other end of that phone and have to listen to it and not be able to help. And finally, we've got Drive Tesla Canada says that China has exported their 1 millionth Tesla from Giga Shanghai. So that is good for them. They've got the 1 million. I'm guessing that's a flag. And they're getting ready to get on the transport ship. What's this? The Starlink Easter egg inside the router where the antenna cable plugs in to Mars and beyond. Oh, that's kind of cool. Is this the new one? I don't think I saw that on my current one. Oh yeah, so the Crew 9 mission took off, and now Butch and Sunny have a normal way home. They a rescue. They don't have to ride in the trunk of uh, of the other Crew Dragon or hitch a ride with the Russians. This is the point here. Yeah, China has a goal to get astronauts on the moon by 2030. Elon's is Mars by 2029. It's not just the FAA though. You got to get your paperwork in. Got to do all the T's crossed and I's dotted. This is curious to me. It's got to be the new router because I don't recall anything like this on mine. Yeah, it's the new one because I don't have like this. They all have it. Okay, so not just the antenna port, but also the Ethernet. So, I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. I want to thank again Zachary for your kind contribution. I want to thank all of our channel members for your continued contributions, and all of you for taking the time out of your weekend to watch us here live, and anyone catching us on the replay. I appreciate you as well. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Tomorrow we've got well, not but the Tesla Life crew. We've got the Tesla Life Express, and then on Wednesday I'll catch you guys live again over at the Tesla Life Show. So catch you on the flip side.